Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live right here on Think Critical YouTube. We got a fantastic show planned for you this week. We got a special guest because Vatican City #1 is coming out from Miller World, I believe, next Wednesday. Mark Miller writing, and we've got the artist in tow, Pearberg. How you doing, Mr. Narwhal Comics?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm super excited. Next Wednesday, it releases. It's already bubbling up the anticipation or whatever.
Absolutely. I put out a little a snippet about it myself after I actually got to read it. You know, I was lucky enough to get a review copy, but this is easily the biggest comic book you've ever done, right?
Yeah, this is like maybe my big break, you could say. I don't know, but yeah, working with Mark is mind blowing and awesome, and it's a great book too. I think I'm just excited about the whole thing. Super stoked.
Yeah,
It's
we've
been a
had Mark on
year.
the channel a couple of times. He seems like the nicest guy in the world. Is he the nicest guy in the world to work for or with?
Yeah, he is. Although, yeah, I can go over some little mini anecdotes, but one of them that was funny was early on, we're kind of starting to work together, and I emailed him and I asked him, I'm like, okay, so he sent me the script. I'm like, do you want me to send you like thumbnails and then you approve it and then I'll go from there? Because that's how I've worked in the past. Anyone I'm worked with, like your boy Zach or whatever. And he's like, nope, I only work with the best, so just do what you do. And I was like, okay, that's great, but also that is like that's like making me very anxious.
It's terrifying.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, I had like imposter syndrome for like 3 months, and I basically blacked out. And then I kind of came out of that around in the middle of issue 2, I think.
Very nice. And these are all plus size issues too. They're bigger than the normal 22 pages.
Yeah, it's 3. They're like average 30 pages. So yeah, it's a fun story. It's like equivalent-ish to like a movie if you read the trade of the story length kind of thing. And I think it's being developed as a movie in Netflix too. Like how Miller World books are, a lot of them. But
Yeah. Most of that stuff are concepts that are supposed to end up being streaming shows or movies. But he loves comic books so much that even though he's a Netflix executive, he's like, let me do the comic book version on the side, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it was a spin-off of an idea from Magic Order Volume 3, which is kind of a fun little weird connection. I was randomly reading Volume 3 when we were working on Vatican City, and I was like, wait a minute. So I emailed him, and he's like, yeah, that was the origin of the idea.
That's very cool stuff. Now, you started mostly like on YouTube. That's where I know you from. Where else were you? Did you have like a Facebook group? Were you doing stuff on like DeviantArt? Where did this all start from?
Yeah, I had one like published book right when I turned 30, and it was called Machete Squad, and I forget the company even. It was like, I guess you might call it indie. It's like not any of the big two or anything, but that was like kind of like published for reals. That was like my minimalist digital art style, still in development. So the art's like kind of rough even for my digital style, splits people too. But anyway, that one's like old. That's like 10 years ago. And that one, I was kind of thinking that was like my big break at the time, but nothing came from that. And I ended up working at the Fred Meyer Deli after that ended. And then kind of some online crowdfunding stuff was doing okay. And kind of through that, Mark Miller and me became pen pals because I got some YouTube reviews from your boy Zach. So it was Foreign Agent review that was like a positive review. So then I woke up one morning and Mark Miller had followed me on Twitter. So the whole time, yeah, it was pretty much just Twitter. Worked a lot. But then so it was funny when Mark Miller followed me. So then I follow him back, and I'm like, if two people follow each other, the DMs are open. And I was thinking for days, I'm like, but what do I say? I don't even know what I could say to him. And I told your boy Zach, I was like, Mark Miller followed me because of your review. I was thinking about reaching out to him, but I don't know. And he's like, yeah, do it. Go for it. So I was like, did you follow me because of the Foreign Agent review? And he's like, absolutely. Been following your work for a while. Keep it up, kid. You're doing great. Something like that. So
wow.
That was, yeah. And then
Very
it was
cool.
2 years where he like, I think, I don't know if this is him doing this on purpose, but I feel like it's a way to kind of help heal the industry, but it's like keeping communication lines open between generations kind of thing. Not necessarily going so far as being like a mentor, because I even didn't want to like bug him too much about anything like that. But just being like a pen pal every 6 months or so, Mark was always responding to my emails. And if I sent him a little comic that I'd done, he'd read it and that kind of stuff. So we did that for like 2 years. And then he would say like, he's on my list to work with. And I'm like, he says that to about everyone. But then he did like DM me one day. He's like, I might have a job for you. Are you free? I was like, I can be free. I can,
Yeah.
What do you
Very
need?
cool.
You car washed? You pick up the kids from school?
Yeah.
I'll do it, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm your guy.
Yeah, congratulations.
nice.
That's awesome, dude.
That's fantastic to hear, because there's a lot of people that, go around and, we need to work together someday. We need to work together someday. I'd love to work with you. Gail Simone, that does that to artists all the time. And it's nice to see that, when Mark says it, he actually means it. It's actually, you actually are on his list.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, it is like, he does seem, and you guys can kind of see it. Like, I think he has a little agenda. Like he's trying to save the industry in his little ways that he can do it. So making books, working with artists, but he'll speak up if he sees like some bullying or whatever that's happened.
Love that.
And then the one that I've kind of noticed is like keeping communication lines open. I love that. And that him doing that for me is what gave me the chance, kind of.
Absolutely. Do you have any other enormous plans that you haven't announced yet? What's coming on the horizon?
Well, yeah, I'm going to see I'm curious what doors may or may not open from this project. And then like down the line, maybe we're continuing to work with Mark because it's been such a positive experience for us both. But then for me, it's kind of back to crowdfunding for a couple books. One is Cerberus, which I don't know if you guys remember. The first one came out a couple years ago. And so it finishes the story. It's done now. So I'm going to launch that in like a month or two. So that's a good quick shout out to everyone. Keep an eye out for Cerberus Part 2 from me in the next couple months on Kickstarter, I think.
Yeah, luckily we were able to, like I said, get a review copy. I think everybody on the panels here has actually read the book already. And you got that really cool kind of, I call it American manga style, where you're clearly influenced by manga, where you have the hyper expression face and stuff like that. But obviously it fits in that American comic book experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like my influences is like a lot of it's like bande dessinée, and I think they're influenced by manga. And then some manga just bleeds in. And definitely if it is manga, it's the way that it can be kind of cartoony or whatever, like the expressive faces and stuff. And then, like early on, I loved Tim Sale. But so those like kind of two combined, like some Tim Sale. It's like a little bit of what you might consider the more artsy fartsy American comics. And then European comics and some manga. With manga, I remember thinking like, man, I really like manga, but they draw the eyes too big. If they would just draw the eyes smaller, then I'd really like it. And I'm like, oh, bande dessinée. That's like kind of what that is. But...
yeah, Doc can't handle it because it's black and white.
Partially, yeah.
Yeah.
And backwards.
And backwards.
And the
he
names.
doesn't like the names.
And I can never remember any of the fucking names.
Too many speed lines, too much zipatone,
I just can't remember any of the characters' damn names. I'm like, that
gotta
guy.
Look at the cover. It tells you what the color palette should be. You can imagine it, Doc.
The color. No, I don't. No. If I wanted to imagine my comics, I just imagine it. I don't need to read something to imagine it.
You know what? That's funny is because I have that American brain when it comes to My Hero Academia. Like if you come in and you say, Deku or Momo, then I know which character you're talking about. But if you start rattling off like their Japanese names, I have not memorized those. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's too much.
Give me their code names. But I can still go back and I can still tell you like the file card name of like all the original GI Joes and all of that. So I don't know. I don't know what the disconnect is.
So you were in charge of the Boom Kids line at Boom there, Aaron. Did you require thumbnails or did you take the Mark Miller I want you to cook approach?
Well, no, because running the Boom Kids line meant you were working with Disney. So if I took the Mark Miller approach,
Overlords.
we would get rejected. So I had to be like the first kind of like line of defense and say, okay, your thumbnails are good. You can move forward to loose pencils, and then loose pencils would go to Disney, and they would approve, and then okay, make these changes and move forward. Then inks would come in and Disney would have to approve. Then colors would come in, Disney would have to approve. It was a long process.
Sounds like licensed comic books are bullshit, dude.
Well, it's bullshit because you don't have enough time built in from the company you're working for. So Boom, when they were given the license, they were told, we've built in 6 months where we're not charging you anything. Like, you're not paying for this first 6 months because that's our development time, because it'll take everybody at Disney time to get geared up. They've not done, monthly comics in a while. We want to have several issues approved in the can done before you go to solicitation. So we've always got a cushion, because sometimes things won't get approved right away, or there'll be pushback and you'll have to change things. So we need to build that in. And Boom was like, nope, we're soliciting books we don't even have. We've got 3 months to get this done. And so it was behind the 8 ball from the moment I came in until almost the time that I left, because I'd finally kind of like gotten it under control. And that's always when they let you go, is when you fix all the problems.
Very nice.
Are the notes from Disney like super weird notes? Like, Mickey Mouse can't wear pants. He has to always be pantless.
Oh, there was definitely stuff like that. Unfortunately, I knew the properties. Like, at one point, working with Pixar was great. It was the hardest, but there came a point where I had notes coming from Italy. I had notes coming from the studio in Burbank, and sometimes the notes would be fighting. I'd get them back, and they'd be arguing in the notes. Like, Italy would be like, do this, and Burbank would be like, no, that's not correct. And then I'd be like, what do I do? You guys didn't resolve it. What do I do? But probably the funniest thing was when you would just get these dumb notes that were just based on somebody's general feeling. Like, at one point, the Italians told us, this panel needs to be redrawn because Mr. Incredible and Frozone are leaving Mr. Incredible's house, and Mr. Incredible is in the foreground and Frozone is behind him closing the door. And that's Mr. Incredible's house. Frozone wouldn't be closing the door behind him. That would be Mr. Incredible. And I'm like, I walk out of my house all the time. My friend closes the door behind me. Like, we need Mr. Incredible first because he's the first one that speaks. Yeah. And so, it was just little dumb things like that. But there was a point where I got a Toy Story note, and they came back, and I corrected them on their note. And then there was a note from Kelly Bonbright from Pixar the next time I got it that said, stop giving Aaron notes like this. He knows the property better than you do. So that was gratifying.
Well, at least they figured it out in the end.
Kelly Bonbright was great. She has a little car that's named in her honor in the Mattel line.
Very cool. Yeah, so I guess there's a couple ways to skin a cat there, Aaron.
Yeah, obviously. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go off on like a tangent, but you get me talking about licensing nightmares, and I can go for days.
Absolutely. We also have returned to the channel. We do have Mr. Josh McDonald, DC expert, Batman enthusiast, finally decided to return to the channel. How you doing, Josh?
Dude, I'm not working, so I'm doing well. It's nice when I can actually have a Saturday free. So happy to be here, Wes.
Well, very nice. Have you gotten all of your plans for Dallas all firmed up?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're kind of set. We've got the house ready. I'm making sure everyone's got their little flights booked. We're gonna figure out. Some of us are going out for a full week, so we're gonna be there ahead of time and kind of do some things, meet up with some people, and then we'll enjoy the weekend. Fan Expo. We're excited to see you. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So
it is gonna be fun. And I heard Aaron has called Outer Spoon on you.
There was a lot of contention of who was going to play Big Spoon with to my Little Spoon, and it looks like Aaron won. Alberto Magnifico himself is taking that role.
It came down to a series of physical and intellectual challenges, a decathlon, if you will.
Where's Dylan sleeping then between you?
He'll be at the foot of the bed.
That's right. He was a late addition, so he's got to take the foot of the bed. We're gonna put a nice Afghan down that Grandma knitted, and he can get up on that.
But I think we're gonna have like I don't know if it's like Comics Aficionados, but we're gonna have like a little meetup. I think after the Friday Dallas Fan Expo day, where we're gonna it probably won't be Applebee's because I think Perch is actually putting it together, so it'll be someplace actually
be at
nice.
Arby's.
We'll be at Arby's, and we'll all get some big Montanas. And
they don't make those anymore, Wes. I don't know why you keep saying that. They're gone.
I vote for a steakhouse like Ruth Chris's or something.
Oh,
I can't afford $95 for a steak. I got 3 kids, dude. What are you talking about? Barely afford Lone Star. You would go to Ruth Chris?
Do they have a nice Sizzler anywhere nearby?
Oh, they don't have
Bonanza.
Sizzler out here in Texas. That does not exist.
Take you to
Does Sizzler
Whataburger.
exist?
I'm gonna go get me some fucking Whataburger.
Yes, me too, Doc. We're gonna make a beeline.
The only thing good at Whataburger is the chicken tenders with the gravy.
Whoa.
Fries with the spicy ketchup, dude.
No.
Dude, there is.
If you want good
nothing at
fries, you go to
Whataburger.
McDonald's. Everyone knows that.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
They
they're like
haven't been
$8
good.
now.
First
McDonald's
of all,
has the best fries still.
McDonald's fries have been barely edible for the last 10 years.
They're also poison.
Yes.
That's why they taste so good.
It's the salt.
If you
man.
want the beef
It's all
tallow, you
salt.
got to go to the Steak and Shake. Apparently,
In-N-Out put out a April Fools that they were doing beef tallow, and like a lot of people got excited, and I think it kind of backfired on them.
oh, they didn't. Realize that was gonna
Yeah,
y'all
maybe it
remember-
would make In-N-Out's fries tolerable.
If you ask for them light, like when you go through the line, you can say light or you can say crispy. Like I don't like when they give you those like the super crispy ones that like have no flavor and are just like, ugh. But if you ask light, they don't do them as well done, and then they're pretty good.
I'll have to try that next time.
No, you want them extra crispy. That's the best fry.
Yeah,
one that's got a
it's
crunch
salty,
to it.
hot.
No,
you're
it's
talking
like there's
about?
there's no give in them. It's just all.
You want the
cooked
little
through. It's
limp
all hard.
fry that you
You're
pick
just
it up and
eating-
it just falls
No, it-
over?
This is no.
There's
Whataburger,
a medium.
In-N-Out's fries are. You can also etch your name into your locker with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today,
Normally.
French fry aficionados.
Yeah, Per's probably like, what the hell did I like sign up for? Like, what's going on?
Fast food aficionados. We do it.
That's
every
right.
We do it every couple of months.
Yeah, you're lucky it's not
Harold's
candy
fries.
bars.
Look at it.
Also,
Pear, what do
the-
you think? What's your French fry?
the only way In-N-Out fries are acceptable is if you do them animal style, because their fries are not good.
You know, with fries, you get the ones right in the bottom that are like extra soggy. I like those. They're all just like that.
Yeah, that's extra flavor though. I can understand that, and it's always a little bits. It's never a big fry. I don't want like my big fry like drooping over. Like it.
Give it any French fries that end up on the bottom of the bag of the dads or whoever gets the takeout.
Yeah.
Remember that. So always just
Agreed.
shake it up really aggressively and be like,
that's-
Whoever
the tax.
paid.
Yeah, that is the dad tax.
that's the dad tax.
So, Josh,
Yes.
are you finding time for the comic books? Were you able to read like a Batman 158 or anything cool like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm doing Max's Friday show now, and we talk about comics on Friday nights. So I'm reading stuff for that, which I may or may not enjoy. But you mentioned Batman 158.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Look, I've been very vocal for years now that I think Hush is an overrated book in terms of a book. People always throw it in their top 10. It wouldn't even make my Batman top 20, maybe not even my top 40. It's a great marketing book. Hush 2, it's a cash grab, but hey, they're desperate. They need it. The first issue was fine. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just there. It exists. It seems like they're kind of phoning it in, paint by numbers. But hey, you know what? If it sells some units for them, good for them.
Yay.
So I
like-
agree that Hush is overrated, but I also believe that it's one of the, if not the best illustrated Batman story of all time, though.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's a great marketing book. Like, you've got so many panels in there that are now pinups for like t-shirts, like art. I mean, hell, you got this statue here that's from Hush. Like,
Mhm.
there's great artwork there, but other than that, it's just okay. It's okay.
What do you think, Per? As an artist, are you probably an artist-driven reader? Like, can you get over the fact that Hush might not have the most engaging story in the history of the world because the art's so good?
Yeah, I read that. That's when I think it's overrated too. I don't know. I guess the art doesn't matter as much as the story. Jeff Loeb, yeah, he was kind of annoying me at some point. I feel like he just wrote he wrote the origins to every character, which is like lazy because you can do that without research. So he gets to write a Spider-Man story, a Superman story. He's just writing their origins, doing his
Oh,
little
you're talking about
tour.
the Spider-Man blue, Hulk,
Yeah.
gray, Daredevil
Some
yellow.
sale colors.
Yeah, but then I was
Across
curious
seasons.
about Hush too, what even the sales are, because that one, it was funny when they first announced it. I was like, ooh, like that feels like a special thing, but I guess it's out now, and nobody's talking about it. I've seen on Twitter.
But the orders were substantial. According to DC, it did 400,000 orders for the issue, but they did have 1 in 1,000 variants. I think they had 1 in 658 variant, or no, 617 variants. They had like 1 in 750s, 1 in 250s. So they had a lot of variants.
Jumbo
covers.
king size versions, which are like
Yes.
the oversized versions. They were kind of cute. I almost got one.
And
15
by the
bucks.
way, F you for that, DC. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm so tired of these companies like putting out things, you know, that your average collector, your average fan can't get a hold of. Like, that really pisses me off.
Oh, you don't like a comic book that on day one is $1,100?
No, I don't enjoy that at all. Because the retailer had to spend so much money to get it. It's ridiculous.
They had a
And it
glow-in-the-dark cover
guarantees
too.
it guarantees that like the ones that you, the regular, you know, the little people bought off the stands, just the regular cover, it guarantees that you're going to be finding that thing in you know, the dollar bin, the $2 bin for years to come.
Yeah, because the A cover was overprinted to, you know, as a reason to exist for all the other variants. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, it's like a lot of those 90s books. A lot of those end up in the dollar bins because they are overprinted.
Well, they were overprinted because there was demand for them, not in order to satisfy random ratio variant quotas.
No, it was to satisfy the rampant speculator market.
Oh yeah, it was.
I'm going to sell this in 10 years, and I'm going to buy a house. My Force
going to
Works
college.
#1. It says collector's item on the cover. You don't know how many times working in a comic book store, I had guys come in and try to sell me stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, but this is a collector's item," and I'm like, "Just because it says that on the cover doesn't mean a thing. Like that's marketing."
Yeah.
In fact, if it says it on the cover, it probably isn't collectible.
I
because everyone
guarantee it's
kept it.
not a collector's item.
Let me show you NFL Super Pro #1 collector's
Yes.
item issue. There has to be demand for it. It's organic.
There's a really good debate going on in the chats about what's the best illustrated Batman book ever. We've got Deadly Duo from Silvestri. Shadows of the Bat are in here. Some good stuff. What do you think it is, Josh? You are the Batman aficionado. You used to be a BatmanNews.com reviewer. What's the best illustrated Batman story ever?
Oh, you're
he's
muted.
He's musing to himself.
Oh my goodness.
I had to mute myself because I saw this going on and I was trying to think. Look, this is going to kind of be a basic bitch answer, but I am partial to what David Mazzucchelli did just because I love the way he makes Gotham feel. And there's such a heavy noir kind of like vibe going on that I like that for my Batman. I'd have to go back and revisit some stuff because like every now and then, even though it's not necessarily a Batman story, maybe you've got Jason Fabok coming in doing this like blockbuster, just badass shit. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to.
I think it's cool that Mazzucchelli and Miller did like the greatest Batman and the greatest Daredevil story of all times together.
100%. Yeah.
Mazzucchelli's amazing.
Yeah. I like that kind of style though, because even John Paul Leon came in and did some Batman stuff, and I thought it was freaking excellent. Like, if you give me a city that feels gritty and grimy and dirty and lived in, that just helps kind of build Gotham as a character, and it impacts the story a lot. So,
Perry, you got any feelings on Mazzucchelli? Is he as amazing as I believe he is?
Yeah, I love him. I've read the Daredevil and the Batman one. I haven't read too much other than that, but those are so great.
Yeah, I could still see the picture, like the splash page with the nun with like the bars going across as she's like holding him or whatever.
Yeah,
It's such a great page. It's like one of the best pages in comic history. Man, this is a
Yeah,
great
the
conversation
80s.
going there.
I have an unconventional choice. I'm going to go with Bernie Wrightson on Batman the Cult.
Ooh.
I haven't read that one.
oh, it's a good story.
It's amazing, yeah.
It's pretty dark
well
too.
done. Long before they broke Batman physically, that was a story where he was broken spiritually.
Batman Blind Justice by Dennis Cowan. This is underrated and nobody ever talks about this, and it's so good. It celebrates Tech 600 back in 1989 before the Tim Burton movie came out. Written by Sam Hamm, who wrote the screenplay, but This is good stuff.
Nice.
Great art.
Breen says it's the Ra's al Ghul story from Batman 232, 242 to 244 with Neil Adams.
That's what's
Also
hard
fair.
with this. Yeah, I was about to say that's what's hard with this too. You got almost 100 years worth of Batman storytelling that each kind of has.
And
their
almost
own,
every
you know-
amazing artist worked on
Yeah.
Batman.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in
there's
the
eras,
'80s, you
too.
had the best of the best in the '80s. I mean, you had Norm Brayfogle on
Yeah,
there.
I
You
love
had
Graham
Graham Nolan. You had Graham Nolan on there. Just guys that were just firing on all cylinders. Like we didn't know how good we had it and how bad.
No
it would
one said
become.
Capullo yet either. Do you guys? How do you feel about him?
Fine.
He's
I like
good.
Cool a lot.
I think he's probably the best modern artist on it. I think it's probably the best modern. Well, it's also the best regular, like hitting.
Yeah, I was about to say because I think Three Jokers looks better
Yeah.
than Court of Owls, but
Yeah.
Three Jokers
yeah.
was a special.
and
Court of Owls obviously was an
Right.
ongoing.
Yes.
When I think of what he did for Court of Owls, I always think of that one issue where Bruce is underground, and then you have to rotate the book to read it. Like you turn the page and rotate, turn the page, rotate. Like that was a nice experience. But yeah,
Unless you're
dude, so
reading
many
it
freaking good.
digitally.
Yeah,
Grabbing your monitor.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
So
I gotta turn my iPad.
I will
Again.
say I did try to read that on my iPad, forgetting, and I had to like lay my iPad down on the bed and turn it
Oh.
that way. 'Cause
Or
you
you
can't
can
rotate.
You can lock your screen aspect.
Listen, I'm retarded when it comes to technology. Okay, so I
sounds
have to go
difficult.
with basic. That's too
Wicked
much work,
retarded.
man.
Wicked
Like
As
a
retarded.
soon as
lot
I
to
lock
do.
it in 2 months when I don't want it to be locked and I need it to turn, I won't remember how I did it in the first place.
Exactly.
It's
Good
on.
point.
It's on the
Be yelling
where
at the
you pull
kids. Which
down-
one of you kids touched my iPad?
on the pull down thing where you pull down from the right and you can turn on your fucking Wi-Fi and you open your flashlight.
I'm
The thing that lets you
legitimately-
open your flashlight.
I'm legitimately
Flashlight?
learning this right
There are
now. I
many
did not know
options
that.
there, Doc, that I've never used. Apparently
And
the lock
one of
screen
them
one
is
them.
locking your screen aspect.
You know
I
what's
could have
funny to
used
me
that when
is-
I was reading that Flash comic book by Jeremy Adams where he was going in with like Dr. Fate. He was like going all
Hey.
over the place.
You know, I have a wonderful solution to all of this. Buy physical comics.
I'm in the Philippines, dude. It's not that easy.
It's wicked expensive.
Yeah, and I
All right,
wouldn't
we-
get them
we-
the same week. They have to ship here. It takes like 10 days.
We need to start a, kind of like the Berlin Airlift, the American comic
The
lift,
West
where we
Comic
just-
Drop.
where we just drop, we just like airdrop
Send a
comics.
drone.
There's just a big there's a
Yes.
big blimp that just flies over the Philippines, and all the drones drop out for all the comic fans carrying their weekly comic books to them.
That would be more effective than what I'm doing now. Not a lie. Somebody could just fly to my hometown here every single Wednesday. It'd probably only take you 27 hours to do it. And I would get a
Subscription
much quicker
service. Yeah, see if
that way.
you
Yeah, they
can,
have a
if-
subscription service, Doc. It's called digital. That's
no,
what
no,
I
no,
do.
no. I'm wondering, because you can actually still subscribe to Marvel. I know Marvel. I'm not sure about DC. Like through Marvel and DC, and they'll mail it to your house every month. I'm wondering whether or not you're eligible for it over in the Philippines.
No way. Like shipping one piece of paper here is like $50. I'm not even joking. It's so expensive. But I guess we should probably do something to do with the show. We do have a shout out from the Thinking Critical Patreon backers. Definitely want to say thank you very much and welcome to the family to Eddie Staminsky, aka Bankshot, who is the protector of the Eighth Ward. Really appreciate you support the channel on Patreon. There's a link in the video description if you're interested in supporting Think Critical YouTube on the Patreon. We got different podcasts, different tiers going on there. You get a superhero name, you get a city protect, and you're going to be a part of the family. So really appreciate that. Hope you are enjoying everything that we got going on right now. And we do have some people talking about. Callum wants to know from Pear, does Zach actually cough a lot?
Well, he and I only email, and actually me and Mark Miller only email too. But so Zach, the thing he does with emails though, it's like kind of boomer. He uses it like text. So an email thread, if he's talking to me about a book, it'll be like 70 emails, one sentence each, and I'm like, oh my god, stop.
I can't.
So do
live
you
like that,
read
man.
the Mark
I
Miller
can't either.
emails? do you read the Mark Miller emails in his Scottish accent?
Yeah, I think I do, and I've gotten a little better at Scottish accent of like understanding it, and like I don't know if I could impersonate it yet because I watched all the Miller times, so I definitely got the parasocial thing with Mark Miller where if he and I ever do hang out, I won't be like nervous, but it might be too much like me knowing about him and him not knowing about me kind of thing. But
Yeah, because I noticed when you were talking about your conversations, you were doing his parts in Scottish, but you didn't talk to him. He was emailing you.
oh yeah, that's funny. Well, that is just from watching all the Miller times, pretty much.
That's very funny. So I lived in the UK myself, so I'm actually pretty good. Like I don't really even notice his accent all that much, but I guess it throws other people off.
Yeah, I think it's not that bad. It seems like because I swear you can hear some and you can't tell what they're even saying. But he had a story. He said that when he was like at Marvel in New York, he met a guy in the hallway for multiple years. They'd say hi and he would talk to him and the guy would always nod and say, yeah. And he would never know. It never fit with what he was asking the guy. And he found out the guy never understood him. Something like that.
Man, I'm hoping Mark Miller and Grant Morrison make up and have a Miller time interview. It would be great, first of all, but then it would be completely impenetrable with their accent.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it came up that a lot of Mark Miller's early work, it was like the very early stuff. Some of it was co-written with Grant Morrison, and I'm like, so they were like close at some point. I don't know the story. Do you know the quick? Is there a quick breakdown at all that you could tell me?
They were friends.
Yeah,
fallen
Morrison
out.
was like his mentor,
Yeah.
and they were really good friends. But they ended up having a falling out, I believe, at DC, or at least after DC, because they were supposed to do this Superman book with Morrison, Miller, Mark Waid, and there was another writer, but it never ended up coming out. But they were all going to work together, but something happened along the line where it appears that they're not exactly friends. We're not all that friendly anymore.
Yeah, I'm scared to ask Mark about that, but I was curious.
As am I. I've done a couple of interviews, and I don't want to broach the subject because it might be something he doesn't want to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, but that'd be fun. Callum also says Marvel Rivals showed their Emma Frost, and she looks hot.
Hot.
Too bad it was wrapped in a what was it? Whatever
Hellfire
gala,
Gala?
Hellfire Gala preview.
Yeah.
So they're doing the
story's
Hellfire
so
Gala at
bad.
Marvel Rivals?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
But look, but it's
really
the Chinese.
weird.
It's the Chinese doing it, so it'll be less gay.
Well, I
You
mean,
know, the
you
Chinese
probably
developer, like they'll amp up the sexy.
it'll be more catty and like Mean Girls than whatever it was like Glee or whatever that Marvel was going for.
No, it'll be for the male gaze is what it'll be because they recognize where their money is.
Yeah, they made Squirrel Girl look hot. I wouldn't be shocked if they made Emma Frost look smoking hot.
And look at how many female artists are out there doing fan art of all of these character designs. It's almost as if sexy characters sell to both men and women.
Aaron, I have to correct you though, because Hellfire Gala was 100% for the male gaze.
Just
GAYS.
Exactly.
Hey, waka waka.
Well, it's sold
So-
like it. I can tell you that.
Dion says, I gave Batman 158 a 0 out of 10 in my review. What is your score for it? What did you hate and what did you like about it? Art not included. And what is your opinion about Batman and Robin 19? So we talked a little bit about 158. What score would you give it, Josh, as somebody that worked for Batman News and did reviews for several years?
Look, I would probably give it like a 6 out of 10. And the way I score things, 5 is just average at best. Like, there's no leaning either way of good or bad. I do think it leans a little more positive because it tries to at least set up some type of suspense for what might be coming. So I'm going to check out the next issue, but I wasn't like, peeing my pants with excitement.
I think you're right in the right space there because I do think the art, while not as good as Hush, which is an enormously high bar,
Yes.
is still good.
Right.
The story is just kind of average.
Yeah. I mean, the story, and look, it's first issue. We're kind of getting things going. Hush as a character doesn't really excite me. But I'm kind of curious to see maybe what's going on with Talia. Like that could be intriguing. And I thought the kind of Joker aspect was at the very least somewhat fun. Like you can go somewhere with that. And then art's not bad. We always have these weird situations like when you look at art like this and you go like, oh, that's like the art is good, but it's not good for Jim Lee. Like it's kind of a paint by numbers. Like it feels like rushed Jim Lee.
Well, yeah,
Like,
he
rushed
has
Jim
been
Lee-
doing
It is
interiors
now.
for a long time.
Yeah. But Rush Jim Lee is still better than a lot of the artists currently working at Marvel and DC. So it's like take that, give or take.
Yeah, as far as Batman and Robin 19, I'm forgetting the exact details. I remember the art from Michael Yannon looked way more like his style with Tom King than what he had been doing. Wait, no, Michael Yannon is doing Batman Detective. Comics.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin is Philip Kennedy Johnson and Javi Fernandez.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
That's a really good issue. I've been enjoying that series. Yes,
I need to catch up. I didn't read Batman and Robin because I hated the original artist. Like the art originally for me was just, it gave me a headache.
Oh,
Simone DeMeo.
the Simone DeMeo art.
Yeah.
Everything turned to Everqueer, and that purple blue color that's everywhere.
If you jump in as soon as Williamson dips out, because he doesn't do a whole lot with it, the Philip Kennedy Johnson stuff I find to be far more interesting with the dynamics between Bruce and Damian. I know Dion hates Damian, but I'm personally liking it a lot. And,
I love Damian.
Yeah, so I think it's actually been a really cool, like it's kind of revitalized it. I think it's a lot better right now.
Nice.
So I think you would like it, Josh.
Yeah, man. I gotta catch up on that.
Doomed Ha says, will Marvel make Betsy back to Psylocke? I'm assuming he's talking about Betsy Braddock.
Probably not.
I don't think
No, 'cause
so.
I
I
think
wouldn't say
Quanon
so.
is permanently Psylocke now.
And Betsy's permanently Captain Britain.
Right.
Yes, and now suddenly bisexual out of nowhere, like every
Yeah,
character.
and she's going to be in that relationship with
Rachel.
for a long time.
also bisexual out of nowhere.
Poor
Just like
Frank.
Kitty is bisexual out of nowhere.
That's
But
still
did you hear-
happening. I thought that it
yes.
ended. That's still going on.
No,
Oh,
they're
no.
well, it did technically because they were in the X Factor book that got canceled at 10 issues. But it started in, I don't remember. Tinny Howard had three Betsy Braddock books, and they all got canceled. And they brought it back for that X Force, not X Factor. I'm sorry, X Force by Jeff Thorne, and they
Wait, you
continued
put-
it on there.
You put Mark Russell on an ongoing, and it became a limited.
That was the X Factor book. I was talking about X Force. X Factor's got
Oh, okay.
Angel and Pyro. It's actually got a really good roster. It's just
Mm-hmm.
not a great writer, in my opinion. But I don't
Brandon
think we're ever
Smith.
going to get her back to being Psylocke unless they maybe do like a Chris Claremont throwback story like they're doing with Wolverine and Kitty Pryde and stuff like that. Unfortunately,
The X-Men are lost, guys. We just need to accept that they're over. The X-Men are over. They're not coming back. You're never getting them back. You're never getting the marriage back between Spider-Man and MJ. None of this stuff is ever going to happen because Marvel Comics and their executives hate you.
And don't you ever
Right, a
forget.
point there. Then Calum says, I enjoyed the conversation you and Aaron had about that new Spider-Man movie. What I want is Scorpion because he was teased in Sydney Sweeney to be the Black Cat, but no, Kevin Feige is a feminist.
Well, it's killed. I mean, that tact has completely killed the MCU, and I don't think that it's coming back. They made all the same mistakes that Marvel did in the comics and thought, we have a better idea. We have a better idea. No, it's the same idea. And it's tanked just as hard. I would love to see Scorpion in the movie. They did tease him. I like that actor. He's
Yeah.
great in like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
You're talking about the prison scene, right?
Right.
Yeah.
With-
I mean,
with
it's stupid. He's
Vulture?
got a scorpion. Yeah, he's got a scorpion on his neck. It's a dumb setup, but I just want to see Scorpion in that suit. I don't think that he's necessarily big bad potential. I don't think he can be the main villain, but he's a good
Yeah.
henchman.
But he might need to be because they did burn out all of their actual real main villains.
Well, here's what you do: you bring Sam Rockwell back as Justin Hammer, and then you basically have him with his little team, like he had in the Iron Man comics when he had Rhino working for him. When he had Black Lash, when he had this was the guy with the ice powers that I can't remember his name all of a sudden.
Iceman.
No, it was
Louis
Iron Man.
Snow.
Mhm. He had that little team, and then they gave Scorpion
Temper.
the new improved. Shut up, Sully. They had the new and improved Scorpion tail, and then Scorpion went off script, and then so he had to send in Rhino and everybody to take the tail back from Scorpion. You just do like that team, and plus you get to bring Sam Rockwell back, and he's always entertaining.
And then he says they burnt bridges with a versus Venom movie.
Oh, they burnt
That's why
bridges
I
with
guess
all
it
three of those
sounds
Venom
like
movies.
they Tom Hardy thought
Blizzard.
they were going to do a Spider-Man versus Venom movie, but it didn't work out.
Thank you to everyone in the chat who reminded me that the villain's name is Blizzard.
Blizzard.
I can't, but my brain just would not access it. It was just like giving me every ice name in the world except for the correct one.
So could we not have Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat because technically the Venom and that Spider-Man are in the same universe?
Ooh.
No, it's just you can't have Sydney Sweeney as Black Cat because she's sexy.
And you
And
can't
we're
have
not allowed to have-
Sydney
we're not allowed
Sweeney
to
as
have
Black Cat because they're probably going to go with the race swap variant that's now available in Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right. You can't. She has to
Yeah.
be. Because we
happen.
have
Yeah, but
to
that
be
character's
anti.
like 15. Not supposed to be sexy.
Well, that's what they'll give you. They'll give
That's
you
by
something that's not
design,
sexy. Yeah.
Very nice. And then he wants to know, did we see that link that he sent to in our DMs to Aaron and myself? I don't remember seeing that, Aaron.
I don't know which DMs he sent it to. If he sent it to me on Facebook, I definitely didn't see it.
I didn't see it on Twitter, and that's where I get my DMs. You got to shoot it to Aaron on Instagram. He's all about Insta.
Instagram or Twitter is where I will see it. Facebook, I'll see it eventually. like 6 months later, I'll be like, oh, hey.
Once Facebook decides that you're allowed to see the thing that you wanted to see to begin with?
Well, I think in Messenger, you still get the DMs. I just don't check it that much because
No,
I
I'm
never
just
look at I never look at Facebook itself because of that very
It's
reason,
unusable.
because it never shows me anything that I want to see.
I only use Facebook to see family pictures of my brothers and nephews and nieces and dad and stuff back home, and you never get to see that stuff. It's always just recipes and stuff.
Wait, you use Facebook?
Yeah, I have family back home, and it's the best place to post pictures. Maybe it should be Instagram.
I only
no
kept
idea.
it because of the toy groups that I was in, and now I don't even look at those anymore because when I go in, I have to actually go in and select those to see what people are saying in them. It doesn't just come into my feed because Facebook wants to feed me a bunch of bullshit that I don't care about seeing.
Exactly. Jocker and Chu says, so at this point with MJ, do you guys still want her with Paul, or just prefer they make her bisexual so they can shoot Paul into the sun?
Oh, I like where you're going.
Are those
Oh,
my
man.
those are my two options?
Apparently.
Bisexual and shoot Paul into the sun.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
all
is.
the above.
I mean, you came close to the Peter paradox in the car where he's like, "All right, would you rather get a massage from a gay guy or have surgery from a female doctor?" And then they start breaking it down. That's what you were trying to set up there. But yeah, no, I think we'll all go bisexual, shoot Paul into the sun.
What if MJ cheats on Paul with Venom?
She already is, probably.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you?
I mean, that suit gets in all kinds of places.
Yeah.
They could set up for something like that. Doesn't the suit affect your personality kind of, so it'll make her more bring out her id or whatever?
Yeah, they have a cover out there where she's marrying the Venom symbiote for issue 7.
Hey, do you guys remember when
They're trying to get rid of Paul.
Venom? You guys remember
They
when
should.
Venom first showed up and terrified MJ, and she should still probably have PTSD about that experience?
Yeah.
But no, it's none of that matters because continuity doesn't matter. And
You
if
remember
don't
when
like it, you
MJ
just
would
stop reading?
When she would freak out when Peter would wear the black costume, being like, "Oh my God, you're wearing that! I hate that! Take it off!"
Mhm.
Yeah.
She hated it.
Yeah.
I hope.
Go
Well,
ahead.
if she's gonna put it on, I hope they at least really try to set that up correct. That she would only do that if in the most desperate circumstances. Or whatever.
Well,
No,
it
she's all
happened this
happy,
week,
and
and
yes, she's all hey, I'm in the Venom suit. Look at me, big smile on her face.
it happened this week, and they didn't set it up like that.
Venom got
She's
us
just
on.
the Venom is on the phone for her as she's walking through the door. It's not very good.
Yeah.
It's a horrible reveal on top of it. Just
Yeah.
it's not written well. It's not drawn well with any kind of drama. It's just everything that. God, remember when a moment like that would have weight, and the artist would actually put some effort into it, and the writer would put effort into it, and it wasn't just them walking into the room looking like they were a drawing in a safety pamphlet on an airplane telling you how to work your safety belt. All of this art is. They just don't care at Marvel anymore. They just don't care. they just put out, just spam out a bunch of crap, and the comic shops will keep buying it, and the retailers will never revolt, because no matter how much they get disrespected, they just keep buying it because that's what they have to do.
I still think it's a red herring.
I mean, you're probably right, or they're both in the suit.
Yeah,
both
I think that they're both in the suit. Every single time Venom is ever unmasked, his face peels back to show the person underneath. This time she popped out of the chest, and he's still on the fucking phone.
Of course, it could just be bad art, because what you're saying.
Yeah,
you're saying like this is the way it's always been, but the writer and the artist probably don't know how it's always been because they don't care.
Yeah,
Listen,
and the editors wouldn't catch that because they've never read a comic in their life.
I just want to say that I support the trans allegory of MJ being the male Venom. Okay, so you bigots can do what you want to over there.
Oh, you know what this also feels like? This feels like the Ronin reveal, where everybody knew that it was Hawkeye, and as a result they made it Echo, and she was wearing a muscle suit.
Yeah.
Oh, like it doesn't make any sense.
Yes, because everyone called it literally from the first reveal of that Quesada cover of New Avengers, after reading Disassembled. Everybody knew that Ronan was gonna be Hawkeye, and so in order to not give it to us the same way that they did with Hush, with everybody knowing it was supposed to be originally Jason Todd, and then they changed it, exactly the same thing. Everybody knew that it was Paul, even though Paul was not one of the options, so they had to give us some retarded swerve.
Well, just like and speaking of Jeff Loeb and retarded swerves, you remember in Red Hulk, they had to have General Thunderbolt Ross come and stand over it, and then have Hulk not grow a mustache, just so they could try to throw us off of the track that everybody was going like, oh, it's Thunderbolt Ross. Like everybody knew that too.
People don't get mad from guessing right either. Like, if the story's good, they kind of enjoy that a lot of times. So
yeah, I wouldn't have cared that the reveal was Jason Todd, and then I knew that it was coming. I just thought it was cool that it was Jason Todd. And then when they did the swerve where it was like, no, it was Clayface, I was like, I mean, that's kind of neat. But then the villain just turned out to be Hush anyway. Just turned out to be Tommy Elliott anyway. And I was like, that was you lampshaded that as your red herring, and then you had to make it the actual truth, and it had no impact whatsoever because nobody gives a shit about Tommy Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times that's what happens, and they think that they're being clever, and no, nobody picked it. We all knew what it was supposed to be, and then you changed it. That doesn't require creativity.
Very nice. Fatal J says, booyah! Fatal J in the house, the most fatalist comic book and movie reviewer in the world. He is officially a James Gunn Superman nut hugger, and he's having a great time. Wrote that book. We got the 5-minute trailer. It actually kind of looked interesting.
It's got my attention now. I got all the feels for that. I watched it this morning to prepare for the show, and it was like, oh, wow. Because, okay, let me tell you this. I'm an asthmatic. I've had asthma all my life. So when to hear Kal-El Clark wheezing like that, it just like it was like, oh my God, I've lived that. That's my lived experience.
Oh my God,
they've finally represented asthmatics.
Yeah, well, I mean, to put that across, that wheezing, that wet wheezing sound, like he must have got really messed up by whoever he was fighting. But I mean, just that impressed me. It was like, oh wow, that really pulled me in.
As a guy that would smoke way too much when I drank in my 20s, that sounded like me in the morning too.
That's right. Doc inhaling kryptonite dust, just like Superman probably did in that moment. It's like the
I
one
hope
thing
Fatal
that
J is
took me out of
eating
it-
like an omelet sandwich right now. I'm just putting that out there. That man loves
breakfast burrito. You could get at the gas station.
Yeah.
What do you say, Sparrow? I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. You had
Reminiscing
to
about Fatal J eating
it.
his burritos. It was
You
great.
had to take a jab at Fatal J. I understand. Wes has got to get his digs in. No, the only thing in that scene that like bothered me was just the stupid robot humor, and that took me out of the scene. and the gravity of like Superman being, on death's door, it took me out of it the way that stupid your mama joke at the beginning of Last Jedi just immediately took me out of the film, and then they never got me back because the film just got progressively worse. So
it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The one robot would be like, "Oh, we don't have distinct personalities," and the next one will be like, "He just looked at me." I get the joke, but
It's not.
I do too, but it's not funny, and it's not even really cute. It's just like, all right.
Well,
that was the thing that they said.
Oh no.
Here's the thing that it feels like that was a setup for later. One of the robots merges with fucking Hank Henshaw to create the cyborg Superman down the line, because you need somebody to hate.
I'll take some Hank Henshaw.
Or Eradicator when he was still evil.
Wes
That's
Eradicator because Wes doesn't like sunglasses.
I don't like the sunglasses on the Eradicator. I think Hank Henshaw is a billion times better design and villain.
Oh, well,
no. I agree there. I prefer Eradicator with the full face mask.
There you go. Kalichioki says, "Why have you not had Mark Miller on your show, Wes? Get on that." I have had Mark Miller on the Aficionados. In fact, I think he joined us for about an hour and a half, and then I've had him on the show 2 other times for interviews. In fact, I was talking to him this very week. He is going to come back on the show for another interview, but he's waiting for a couple of announcements to get greenlit that he can actually acknowledge them. So we're going to put it off for another 20 days before we actually are able to talk. But it will be coming up in the not too distant future. So
next Sunday, AD?
No. Mark's one of those guys that I really appreciate, that he both loves comics, wants to talk comics, but also wants to use it as a way. It feels like the least shameless promotion, if you know what I mean. Like, it feels authentic promotion, not just shameless. Oh, I'm coming on to do my PR tour to sell a comic. It feels like, oh, now I can do all of these things at the same time.
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's just me.
Nerd says, "Why are digitally drawn comics seen as lesser? The older comics are really simple. The newer comics have more complex colors and effects." I think, Perry, you were the person to answer this. You said you do most of your styles now in digital. Do you feel like digital artists are seen as less?
Yeah. So yeah, Vatican City, I drew it traditional, and it was the first comic I've drawn like that in a long time. And actually, there was a comic that kind of got me the Vatican City job in a way. It was a little short Mad Max fan comic I drew. I drew it like 10 years ago, and then I reposted it, and Mark saw that and really liked it. And that was part of when he hired me. He's like, "Draw it like that Mad Max comic." And I'm like, "I drew that 10 years ago. I don't even know." I was thinking that. I was like, "How do I figure this out?" And I'm like, I ended up there was a little back and forth even. I sent him some. He's like, "That's good, but that's not the same style." I was like, oh, I was kind of stressing out. And it was when I switched the tools to be identical to the old way I drew the Mad Max comic, which is like 102 nib, brush pen, whatever, a Sharpie and a ruler kind of thing. And then all of a sudden it did start to look like that. And Mark approved it. We were kind of off and running. But from that experience, I do feel like, traditional kind of can't be beat. And that is almost like a little way. I'm kind of a little bit of a convert in a way where that's like a way to possibly help heal the industry, is just like a lot more traditional comics, because they feel a little extra special, I think. But then at the same time, I do keep doing I'll do one traditional, one digital. But digital has this, it serves itself well with this clean minimalist style. So it's kind of it's, what do you call it?
And there's more shortcuts available to you there.
Yeah, actually, when I drew digital all the time, suddenly I'm drawing traditional, and I'll reach for Control Z undo, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't have a freaking computer here, or I'll want to turn ahead.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I can't turn the head. Actually, when I first started it, I was so overthinking it that I was like, I'm just going to use tons of tracing paper and a light board, and it'll be just like digital, because then I can actually turn heads and stuff. And I was doing that for a while, even on Vatican City, the first couple pages. And then I was kind of I hadn't fully cracked it yet, and I was kind of stressing out. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna frickin' draw it with a pencil and erase a shit ton. And that worked. That like really unlocked it for me and felt a lot better once I started doing that.
But
And at
not
the end of
all
the day,
older comics are really simple. If you go and look at a Neil Adams book, there ain't
Yeah.
nothing simple about it. If you go look at a Jack
Right.
Kirby book, ain't much simple about that. If you want to go back even to the 80s with Frank Miller, it's not exactly simple stuff. So
Yeah,
there's
you might be
certainly
talking
people
about
that had
coloring too, because
Yeah.
the old comics, they kind of have the
Well, they-
flat
Yeah.
colors
markers
and the,
Yes.
the 5-tone.
yeah.
Exactly.
and to be perfectly honest,
I like that more.
they look better. They're
Yeah.
easier to read
Mhm.
because
And the characters
as much
pop.
as they do, as much as the modern comics are more realistic in their coloring, it also ends up looking like mud because the real world looks like mud.
Subhuman 84, in your opinion, what are the best Jack Kirby covers? Well, I'm not going to name them all, but my personal favorite Jack Kirby cover is the Coming of Galactus, beginning of the Galactus trilogy with like the Watcher and the fucking Fantastic Four in the background. But he's got a lot of amazing covers. Do you have a favorite one, Doc?
I'm trying to remember no, that was a John Buscema cover. You know what? I absolutely love the cover to X-Men #1.
Absolutely.
It's so classic. Jim Lee even homaged it when he did the X-Men #1.
Mhm.
I something about that cover has always. Plus, I like white covers.
Yes.
For some reason, white covers and black background covers, fucking love them. Probably because they're so hard to keep in decent condition. It's like a challenge to me.
Sparrow, you got a favorite Jack Kirby cover that just pops in your mind?
You already took mine, man.
Oh,
I love that
I'm
story.
sorry,
I
dude.
love everything about it. No, it's okay. We can have the same correct opinion.
I like
What
that.
about
You got a
there's like
favorite Jack
a-
Kirby?
there's a 2001 one that I bought in a dollar bin once that I have, so I'll just say that one.
Very nice. You got any favorites, Sully?
I got a Jimmy Olsen that has Don Rickles on the cover.
Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen?
Yeah, it's in my Fourth World collection. I got the omnibus. It weighs 10 pounds literally. It's a heavy read. But I like the Don Rickles ones because
People always think about the Fourth World when he's at DC. They forget that he did Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. It was actually good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But it
In
also
fairness,
shows,
that was a Fourth World book.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
also shows the price of what you do when you really entrench into something that it's very popular at the time. Does it age well? You know what I mean? So would any kid today know who the hell is Don Rickles? You know what I mean? Look him up. He's funny.
Sean Douglas Sutton says Daredevil Born Again thoughts. So if you're talking about the comic book story, it's my favorite
Amazing.
Daredevil story of all time. I think it's one of the 5 best comic book stories ever told. Frank Miller, Mazzucchelli on that one. I think it's absolutely beautiful, breathtaking comic book. If you're talking about the show, I've not made it through episode 3 or 4 yet. Whichever one has the marriage counseling where what's-her-face is telling Wilson Fisk that she cheated on him, that's where I stopped, and I haven't been interested to get back to it. Perhaps Josh, being the pop culture guy, will have a better feel for Daredevil Born Again in the show. Is it good?
Yeah, look, so far it's okay at best, and I'm in this like try to hold out hope because what I'm referring to is the new create. Like Marvel lied to us, Disney lied to us. They said they scrapped the whole show. They didn't. The 6 episodes that they filmed, they kept. And this new creative team that they brought in were forced to work with that, and they're trying to make an ice cream sundae out of a pile of shit. Let's just be honest. So what I've told people is like, just if you're gonna watch it, that's fine. But if you're gonna try to base what your opinion on the show and what we'll be getting, wait till these next 2 episodes, because that's the new creative team. So that's the only thing I can say.
I found a breaking point where I just didn't want to go any further. I was so bored.
Oh my God, yeah. So look, if you watched up to this point, if you loved the Frank and Matt scene that happened in episode 4, that was written and filmed by the new creative team and then pulled forward to be put in that episode. They've had little bits here and there, but you can blatantly tell the difference in the writing. You know, when you go from whatever his name, Leroy, whatever his name was in episode 4, why won't you feel bad for me? Because I have a 20-page rap sheet of larceny and assault and everything else, and I'm the victim. To Frank, you know, don't put that pussyfoot word in my mouth. You know, clearly 2 different writers. So
Yeah. Also, hey, you know what? I just remembered. My favorite Kirby cover, Hulk #1.
that was, I had 2, so I was gonna say Hulk #1 because I loved that image. And Commandy #1 for me.
Yeah, I
Commandy's
always
Sorry,
great.
Josh.
I thought about
Yeah,
Screwed you
Commandy.
over.
That's okay. You're good, man. You're good.
Pear, have you been watching the Daredevil board again? Do you think it holds up to the Netflix?
No.
I haven't been watching it, so I almost can't comment. I'm skeptical like you guys, I guess. I'm holding off.
I was kind of going in when they said they scrapped it. I was kind of hopeful. I was like, whoa, this is like the new Disney Plus version of the MCU. And then you get in there and you're like, there's no fucking Daredevil here.
No.
Like, what's
I would
going
still
on?
like some Daredevil in my Daredevil show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the White Tiger. I thought he was kind of cool, but that was like the standout. And he wasn't
Yeah.
a lot in there either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's
from
been,
from Hawkeye to Echo to this show, it just sounds like they've turned Kingpin into the cuck pin.
Yeah.
It just
Hey, yeah.
they just keep they just keep tearing down his character, tearing down his
Depower
character.
this
Yeah,
patriarchal
And then
icon.
once these
you know?
writers decide like he's going to be an allegory for Trump, they're not going to let him be. Cool.
Oh, good point. And that's the best thing about the book is that Kingpin is like super threatening and awesome in it.
So these last 2 episodes, the new creative team wrote scenes for Kingpin, and he feels like Kingpin. Like he beats the ever-living shit out of a guy, then gives him a weapon and is like, all right, now try. And he beats the shit out of him again. Like he just, and then there's a really great scene with him in this last episode. So hopeful for the future, but we'll see.
Yeah, I haven't watched episode 7 yet. I watched 5 and 6 last week.
It's
I'm
just a
sorry,
shame that you
I
have to
watched
get
5.
through. You have to
Yeah.
get through
Yeah.
a terrible, terrible version of the show, hoping that the next season will be better.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you guys, you had one chance to make a first impression, and the show's not doing well. Your
Mhm.
service is failing.
Yep.
And so like even if you do a second season, is anybody gonna watch it, or is the second season going to be great, but it's just going to be
The second
Andor,
season's
or
going to be
everybody-
the second half of the first season that they announced.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well,
Well, they are going a different direction because what they originally were going to do with Frank, John Bernthal had read it and he declined coming back to the show. So when this new creative team came in, they changed the direction. They got David Boyd to come in and direct, and David's worked with John Bernthal. So he reached back out to be like, hey, this is actually what we're wanting to do now. Would you be interested? And John Bernthal came back and said, hey, I'll do this, but I also want to have some say in what we're doing with this character. So they really kind of changed the direction because it sounds like
do
they were
you
going to
know what-
go.
yeah. Tell
They
us
were
what
going to cuck
we're
him.
gonna do.
Oh yeah, no, it sounds like they were going to very much go the like my symbol's bad, I can't wear it
Yeah.
route.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
So Callum clarifies not to make MJ buy, never do that. Make Paul buy, and that way he can be an icon for Pride covers in the books that no one buys.
Paul's already by.
Bye.
Josh, would you accept Paul into the LGBTQ plus comic heroes?
dude, I already
Really?
tried not to claim those people as like I'm like, I'm walking around like, yeah, ever since like when did they start going crazy with all this shit? The Tim Drake, John Kent time, I've been like, yeah, no, I'm gonna.
You started
Yeah.
seeing hints of it during Marvel Now and DCU.
Yeah.
So 2012. And
Yeah, but they
then
went
they put it on steroids in like
Yeah.
2016.
Exactly, yeah. That's when I started trying to drop my voice a little bit and be like, hey, what's up?
Hey,
boys?
everyone. I'm Josh. I'm
I
from
choose
Texas.
tobacco.
I
Josh,
chew tobacco, drink whiskey, and eat steak.
I like the idea of you chewing Tabasco, like
Josh,
Aaron,
just start
did you
smoking.
have to
Man's
catch that, man? Come on.
of course I did.
And then
That's how much of a
Cal
man
says
I am.
he's going to resend those links to us in our Twitter, Aaron. So thank you
Awesome.
very much for that. Sleeve has a question for Doc. They did the same thing with Monarch in DC. Everyone knew it was going to be Captain Atom, so they changed it to Hawk and Dove at the last minute.
Yeah, they did. And yeah, they did that back on Armageddon 2001. This would have been like 1992, 91. Everybody predicted who it was, so they swerved. To this day, DC still gets mocked for it. Every time they try this, they end up getting mocked for it, and they think they're being clever, and it never works.
Yeah, swerve for the sake of a swerve doesn't make sense. It has to serve the story, and it has to be logical when you realize it. You're like, oh my goodness, I missed all the signs. They were telling me all along, but I didn't realize it. Not like never in a million fucking years with that.
All they do is, after it's predicted and everybody already knows it, they go through their list of other characters it could be. And then as long as it's not completely outlandish, like just completely breaks the story, they'll swap in one of those characters. It doesn't need to be logical. It just has to be not illogical.
It's I'm bummed out that Sylvania and I will never get to finish our Darkwing run, because we were building a reveal in there that nobody had picked up on, and I think we would have been able to pull it off. I think we would have been able to swerve everybody and blow everybody's mind, and yeah, we'll just never get to do it. So it's hard to do in comics.
His niece was the villain the whole time.
I'm not talking about what was going on. He doesn't have a niece. What are you talking about? Do you even read? Did you even read Darkwing? Did you even watch the show? There's no niece.
But there was a little girl.
Yes, that's his adopted daughter.
I thought it was his niece. I'm sorry. I watched Darkwing when I was a kid.
I thought he was your uncle.
You thought, and I sent you the omnibus. You have access to 416 pages. That's fine.
Oh my goodness, Aaron's disappointed in me. I feel like I just got disowned.
It's like you kicked a puppy. Come on, Wes.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry. I mistook niece for stepdaughter or adopted daughter. My bad.
No, it's not that. It's just the larger conversation about. That's fine.
I don't like letting people down. Mr. DC Comics says, I didn't know that Chuck Dixon wrote the book for the movie Working Man with Jason Statham.
Yeah, Levon Cade. It's his series.
And you liked it.
I for what it was, I liked it. Yeah, as an action movie, a Jason Statham action movie, I gave it a solid 6 to a 7.
I still think the greatest Jason Statham action movie scene is where he puts like the bike pedals on because there's oil all over the place.
In the transporter.
Yeah.
Yes.
That first transporter movie is fantastic. And then in the second one, it becomes big dumb schlock.
I like the skanky French girl that was just wearing lingerie to kill people.
Oui.
Who wouldn't like that?
Was the transporter was the one that like made him the action guy for the next 20 years or something?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because up until then, he had just been doing like kind of action comedy type things, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah, like the Guy Ritchie movies.
Yeah, the Guy Ritchie.
Hadn't he been in one though before then with Jet Li?
Yes.
Where he's time cop, basically.
Yeah.
I think so, but he
does appear in that.
But he doesn't do a lot of action in that.
Yeah, the first place I noticed him was in Snatch, and he does no action in that.
Mm-hmm.
Snatch is an amazing movie, though.
It is fantastic. Yeah.
Josh, did you like Working Man?
I haven't seen it yet, so
you're the movie aficionado. What are you doing here?
I know, dude. And I'm like Dylan. I've got the AMC A-list pass, but I just it's been way too crazy lately. My schedule's been too crazy. So
you can't find a matinee on a Tuesday to go see a good movie.
Grab some Whataburger.
Well, here's the thing. So the theater that's closest to me is 45 minutes away. So I've you have to end up taking like half a day to go because you got 45 minute drive.
Go and see two movies.
Right?
Exactly. My closest theater is 4.5 hours away, Josh.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, there's other stuff that I end up prioritizing. So
I think that Wes I'm not convinced that Wes moved to the Philippines because he met a good woman in the Philippines. I'm starting to think that he did it just so that he can one up everybody all the time. Like
I know, right?
you really have adopted the dad
I'm
thing, except you do it to all of us where you're like, I have to walk uphill.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? 45 minutes?
Yeah.
I wish there was a theater within 45 minutes. I would have gone and seen the freaking Minecraft movie already that my son is begging me to see.
It costs $500 to order one piece of paper to the Philippines.
$50.
It takes me 45 minutes to walk to the
You
mailbox.
guys have no
you
idea,
whippersnapper.
idea how good you have it.
I have to fight ninjas on the way to the grocery store.
Literally, I'm in the Philippines. They're the great grandsons of the World War
See,
II veterans.
now
in Japan.
Aaron, because he hates me because I got one fact in Darkwing Duck wrong, he's calling me out, putting a spotlight on all my hypocrisy and what a douchebag I am, and I don't deserve this, Aaron.
You roast us all the time. All the terrible comics that you heap upon poor Doc. You're getting a roasting. It's coming. Karma's
That was
here.
Lane
bitch.
Kramer. I didn't do that. Lane did that to Doc this week. I didn't want to read Concert of Champions.
Lane did make us watch The Acolyte.
Exactly.
So should we? Do we all
Dion
turn on Lane?
says-
Is that what we do?
I'm not hating, but I only dislike Damian because DC blacklists right-leaning writers like Aaron here and still allowed Grant Morrison to write his racist fanfic on Talia. Where is the consistency?
I never picked up on that. I disagree.
I don't know if I'm
Where did we go?
blacklisted
Where
at
are we
DC.
coming up with that?
I don't know if I'm blacklisted at DC as much as they just don't know who I am.
I meant about racist fanfic about Talia.
But Marvel, sure.
What do you
I
think? Obviously, you're the Batman aficionado, Josh.
I mean, look, they've definitely pushed certain talent out the door and made a point to vocalize they're not going to work with them. And then people that do kind of have right leanings or conservative leanings have to stay quiet. Yeah, I mean, like, hell, there's people that we know that's been on the show that kind of had their jobs, pressed, I would say. So, I mean, it's there. But
What is the Grant Morrison racist fanfic on Talia al Ghul there in the Grant Morrison Batman and then Batman and Robin run?
hold on,
Yeah,
what's the racist aspect of it?
Exactly.
That's what I'm not
Maybe
fully.
she's-
Maybe
Well-
should that maybe be a P instead of a C? Is that
No,
Rapist?
she's Middle Eastern descent, right?
Yeah.
And Asian,
Maybe
right?
that's what it is. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I know the.
'Cause I've
I know
always
P
thought the Al
argument. I
Ghuls
don't-
were just evil. I never really read that into it.
Yeah, I
Right.
didn't either. Like, yeah.
But I don't like Grant Morrison's Batman, like almost at all. I just kind of ignore that and I just read his Batman and Robin, which I think is far superior. I think
Agreed.
it's really good with Frank Whiteley.
Oh, dude, that Batman and Robin run is bomb.
Yeah, I hated his Batman. I hated Tony Daniels' Batman too.
Blasphemy.
You didn't like Battle for the Cow.
No,
Or the Andy Kubert stuff?
I
That was
don't know.
amazing.
Which it was Tony Daniel, right? Did like Joker where he cut his tongue in half, or was that Grant Morrison with Tony Daniel art? He's like, "Ooh, look at me! I cut my tongue in half. I'm so edgy. I'm the
My
Joker."
snake. Yeah.
I think I maybe just forgot that when Scott Snyder took over and they like shaved his face off. I was like, okay, how far are we
I think
gonna
everybody kind of
Let's go
forgot
on
that, except for when he came back and he had it like bungee corded about around the back
Yeah.
of his head.
And then Dion says, also bless y'all. Well, thank you very much, Dion. I appreciate the sentiment and having some good Batman discussions here. Calvin says, on what?
What was
What?
Joker's plan having his face taken off, by the way? What was the plan there? What was the why
I don't
did
know.
that
They
happen?
did
He's
it
an
in
edgy boy.
Detective. Yeah, they did it in Detective Comics #1.
Yeah,
for
I
New
remember it was
52.
hung on the wall by
Yeah.
the doll maker or whatever.
And Scott had said that all he really wanted to do was take Joker in more of a horror element, and I guess this was his way of doing it. So,
so it was like I'm extreme. I'm an extreme writer. Look at me.
look, it's Scott Snyder. Like, of course, that was his take.
That's right. You're gonna get a phone call, Josh. Better
I
watch
know. gonna get an email and then a group conference call.
Calvin
it.
says, on
Explain
what
to you why
Josh
I'm awesome.
said about the Daredevil writer, I sometimes have this scenario when someone does that Kevin Feige passive aggressively schemes.
I don't know.
He's,
He lets people bitch him out on on film. So
Maybe.
Yeah, I think the problem is Kevin Feige coasted by he's clearly a good businessman. Like things happened and he
Is
had
he?
some hand in it. Hold on, but he's not a good creative guy. And you know, when you have people that were setting up the first 3 phases of Marvel and really kind of running that story and mapping out years worth of good storytelling, and then you kind of then trump them and be like, I am the guy, when you're clearly not. This is what happens. So this is what we've gotten here. But yeah, just I don't know.
Start
It's
reading
been
your
a
own
hot mess.
headlines.
Yeah, and then throw in the whole Chapek and whatever that other guy that was working with Chapek that was deciding what would be made into a film and made into a movie, and then we start getting all the shit that we don't need.
Didn't
Ironheart
Chapek put his like kid in there or something? Like is one of his sons?
I think so.
I think so,
It was
yeah.
just it went from bad to worse, and we haven't gotten better yet.
And then, then we got Bob Iger back, and it was like, oh.
I feel like Ike Perlmutter was maybe not the problem here.
I mean, I think he definitely had his problems, but I
Yeah.
don't think that overall. I think that sometimes you have opposing forces, and they're not 100% right, but like the two of them together pushing off
Make
of
it
each
right.
other,
Yeah.
like keep the ship in the middle, like just right
Yes.
between the Scylla and the Charybdis, just like shoot right down that middle where the success is. You go too
Just
far to either side.
Let's keep in mind if Ike Perlmutter had stayed and had his way, Iron Man would not have been in the Civil War movie.
But that's
Which
just
is
because he didn't want to
wild.
spend the money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you pull, you gotta sail between the two opposing forces. When you take one of those forces away, oh no.
Well, it's because neither
no.
of them are creative people. And one was a money person, one was I can get some credit by getting actual creative people to work for me.
Mhm.
Then the problem became he thought that he started reading his own press when they started saying that he was the creative vision.
In my experience, and in the experience of many people I've talked to in other creative fields, the worst thing that you can ever have is somebody who controls the purse strings. And see, now you can get me, Josh. You can get me back. They control the purse strings, and they also think that they're a creative.
Yeah.
The worst thing in YouTube is Aaron going nautical with his fucking terms and confusing the shit out of me.
Oh, that was really
I still don't even know what he was
You
talking
could get up
about.
to 14 knots with that story.
That's the Odyssey.
Jared 2 says, I get dumped on usually anyway. You love the Acolyte. What? What did I do to anybody? I thought the 5th episode was fine. That's the only thing
I just think
Wes.
it's telling that we've discovered that Wes hasn't read my Darkwing Duck. He apparently hasn't read the Odyssey.
I love the Odyssey.
Then
Wes,
should know
you
what
love
Scylla
the
and
Acolyte?
Charybdis are. Wes did love the Acolyte.
He
was big on it.
loved the twins.
Did you?
I
did
like
you
the fight.
So I'm just imagining you finishing an episode and being like, "Scissor me timbers, that was fantastic."
Doing a YouTube reaction video and crying with tears of joy.
Yeah. It's so beautiful.
You
The
had
journey
the
of those
fight with
twins.
the Joker mask guy and 8 Jedi where he first pulled somebody on and impaled him. It was cool.
The way he snapped that Jedi's neck, it was just so moving.
I was just happy to see. Like, I'm starting to I go back and I think about that fight, and I'm like, there was a couple of cool things about it, like force pulling someone onto the blade.
Yeah.
That was cool. But overall, was it a good fight? I think maybe I was just happy to see so many of those characters die.
Yeah.
Like when Jackie got turned into a 3-hole punch, like I was like, yes,
Boom.
the female Neelix is dead. Oh, this is so
I thought the
great.
reveal
And
of
then-
the Dido out of the handle of the long blade, that was a cool reveal. And the Sith,
Yeah.
that's very Sithy. You know what I mean?
And then Jedi
You're not allowed to
Master-
trash
dishonorable.
Neelix on the channel when Sully's around. That's like his spirit animal.
Or Tuvix.
Jedi Master
love Neelix.
Killmonger haircut running in and just getting his neck broken. That was pretty great.
I'm gonna applaud Wes because too many people, especially with YouTube channels and stuff these days, think that you can't possibly find a moment of something good in a bad product. So kudos, Wes, for praising episode 5 in that fight.
I didn't
Yeah.
praise the fight was good.
Okay, so kudos for praising the fight. I'm giving
Force
you a
pulling
compliment,
somebody
man.
onto a lightsaber is dope. I kind of like it, even though it was a Jedi and you probably shouldn't be able to do it. I'm good with
Right.
it. Like, go for
Yeah.
it. Go kill some people. It was fun. I stopped watching the show after that. I'm like, no more for me. We'll end that's on a high
Good
note.
place to leave
Right.
it. Yeah.
That was very smart of you, man.
Sigma Comics, HH and the boys. Shout out to the best team in the biz. Keep it aficionados and support these great guys who always bring you great insight and commentary on comics today. Well, thank you very much. And definitely be on the lookout for Sigma Comics, HH. Here comes Calico teaming up not only with Mike Barrett, but also bringing Klaus Janson, actual real comic book legends, living legends, onto the team. That is very exciting stuff.
Comic book royalty, man.
Yeah. How did he sit on it for like 2 months?
He told me, and I had to sit on it.
Yeah, I know.
And that was killing me. It was killing me. But I was happy that he trusted me with it.
But definitely, if you are going to your local con, there's a decent chance that HH and the team will be there talking about Here Comes Calico. Definitely go say hi to those guys and let them know that we love them. Carlitos Figueroa says, I've been following the industry and believe DC is outperforming Marvel. While DC has its flaws, it offers more good stories compared to Marvel, which is mostly bad stories with just a few good ones. So here's the problem, Josh. I agree with what he's saying. I think DC has better stories. I think their absolute line is better than the ultimate line. There are more good DC ongoings right now than Marvel. But they aren't outperforming because they're still getting housed in sales somehow.
Yeah. I think it's that weird like FOMO thing people have. Like I know quite a few people that are still picking up Amazing Spider-Man and then just doing nothing but talking about how much they hate it. And I'm like, why are you buying it? And it's like they're like, well, I've bought it for like 20 years or, I'm like, okay, but you can stop. Like, go buy something good.
Take a break.
Yeah.
I do.
Like, you can always catch back up. If you're afraid you're going to miss something or it might get good while you're gone, you can always go back
Always
and
catch up.
get the, like, but
trust
stop
me, Tom
Yeah.
Brevoort works there. It's not going to get any better. You're
Yeah,
not going
and
to
if you-
miss out.
And if you buy it like old and used, you are not giving money directly to Marvel, therefore sating that need not to fund, the disrespect of the old fans. There you go.
I'd like to think that Marvel's better off when Tom Brevoort is dead, but let's be honest, it's just going to
In
get
Minecraft.
onto a doofus like Nick Lowe.
ASM's dropping twice a month too. Drop it and go. Like, take the Jeremy Adams route. Go pick up Green Lantern. Go pick up Aquaman. You won't be upset. It's better than what him is.
And the problem is Rolling Dodge is like be like Doc, because Doc did give up on X-Men, but Doc literally kept buying X-Men books 10 years past when he didn't like them anymore.
Because because historically, even if they
Your
do
Marvel's out.
bad for a year or two, they'd recover. I mean, look, I read through Chuck Austin before that, and I'm like, okay. And then it'll recover. They'll finally get that out of their goddamn system, because there was a period of time where they would stick Chuck Austin on everything. I assumed that the clowns they're still hiring today would have a Chuck Austin-esque shelf life and then go the fuck away. And normal people would come back. Except for they did it. They just went and found more Chuck Austins.
Yes, they did. It's a never-ending conveyor belt of Chuck Austins just rolling through.
But the problem is ASM was good like 4 years ago. Or was it 5 years ago? When did Nick Spencer leave?
Nick Spencer, 4 years ago,
It was
right?
no, it was like
3 years ago.
It was
Yeah,
all
maybe-
right. It wasn't great, but it was better than what we're getting now, and it was better than
Certainly
what we were
good
getting
enough
before.
to keep people around. And maybe they're only 2 or 3 years into realizing that this ASM run isn't very good, and they're still holding out help. By the Doc rule, they got another 7 years before they fully give it up.
Oh boy.
honestly, yeah. I mean, look, comic fans have been semi-conditioned to accept that there's going to be periods of essentially downtime where the book that you're reading isn't that great. And you could drop the book. The problem is once you start reading it again, you're going to get pissed off that you dropped it, because now you have a hole in your collection and you got to go and buy those. And they're going to probably be, especially with a title like ASM, for whatever reason, ASM back issues are always expensive. It doesn't matter. There isn't a dollar bin for ASM back issues. Look, they're never, go to your comic shop. They are literally never in the dollar bin. Now, Spectacular Spider-Man, sure. Web of Spider-Man, sure. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, sure. Adjectiveless Spider-Man, sure. But ASM is never in the dollar bin. So,
but it also shouldn't matter. Like, it also shouldn't matter, Doc, because this is no longer the Amazing Spider-Man run.
no.
The classic Amazing. They've restarted it with multiple number ones. So just put that in your mind and just let go. Just let go. Just get out of your abusive relationship. You hate this book. You hate what they're doing to this character. You hate this company because they hate you, and they actively have executive editors who tell you that they hate you. And if you don't like what we're doing, why don't you just piss off? That's basically the attitude. So
Exactly.
just give them what they want. Piss off. Let
I
everything
think the
burn
real
to the
lesson
ground.
is, Josh, and I think you'll agree with me, is DC has more particular fans that are that they demand a higher quality of book to continue supporting it. I think Marvel fans are just zombies.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll agree with that.
I'm teasing. I love
Marvel.
Marvel fans.
That's
Per,
because
would you-
everyone that had a complete run is dead.
Were you like that with the book? Was there ever one where you're like, I just can't give it up. I got to keep buying it? Were you ever a completionist?
No, I pretty much just read a bunch of Batman trades. I was catching up a lot because I got into comics when I was a senior in high school. So that's like an easy cheat way to do it. But that was my intro drug or whatever, gateway drug was Batman. So I'm more the DC side.
Exactly. That means that you're going to be a more, a critical eye reader than those Marvel fans. That's what it is.
Look, Tom Brevoort told you if you don't like it, don't read it, walk away. And you know
Right,
what?
he did.
Johnny Jam Boogie made a perfect statement in the chat. He said, do what they won't do for you. Give him what he wants.
Yeah.
There you go. It's pretty wild, but DC is definitely a higher quality across the line. And they're also producing like 25 less books a month. And they're still producing more good books. So it's pretty wild right now. But Marvel just has that built-in audience that they DC's never really going to overcome it looks like. Sleep McDakel says, remember All-Star Batman and Robin? Joker had a big-ass dragon tattoo.
Yep.
Yeah.
He looked ridiculous, but I didn't care.
I know people hate on All-Star Batman and Robin. I think it's a fucking hilarious book. Like, you cannot take it seriously. But
Is
it's
that the
Kind of
funny.
Frank
like
Miller
Absolute
one?
Batman.
Huh? Yeah, oh,
Is
yeah.
Frank-
But I don't know.
Is
Frank
All-Star
Miller
Batman and Robin,
too.
is that Frank Miller? Sorry.
That's the Frank
Yes,
Miller, Jim Lee one
Excuse me, I think I
from
said
the
Stan.
early 2000s.
Okay.
It was basically a year one for Dark Knight Batman.
Oh, okay. Is that the one where Batman goes like, I can do what I want?
He's the
fucking
goddamn Batman.
Yeah.
Eat rats.
Who do you think I am? Are you retarded or something? I'm the goddamn Batman.
Black
Yeah.
Canary on the hood of the Batmobile.
I asked on
Those
Twitter
were the
once, I was like,
days.
are there any comics that are so bad that they're good? Because that's kind of a movie thing, but I'm like, are there comics like that? And a bunch of people said that comic.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a reason why like comic fans started referring to it. That's not Batman. That's not Bruce Wayne. That's a guy we called Crazy Steve. I'm just a crazy guy
Jackson
that
Pete,
happened to
he
have
does this for nickels.
that happened to have all of Batman shit.
I heard there's a Frank Miller quote where he said Batman is an unbreakable character. And I think that might have been him trying to break the character and just
It could have
proving
been
that you
proof
can't
point.
break him or something.
Well, Tom King broke the character, so as he breaks all
Yeah, that's true. He did.
so Frank
Caleb
Miller should be
says-
wrong there.
Yeah.
What you were saying earlier, Aaron, you perfectly described Kathleen Kennedy. I believe when you were talking about Feige.
Oh, or Brevoort, either one. I think that is an apropos comparison.
The nerd says, I'm looking to launch my own comic book. My goal is to contend with the big two. I have ideas how. Would you read a comic run that is structured like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the apothecary style?
Does that mean like letters? Like you
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I rewrote-
Watchmen kind of did that a little bit, but you could do more of it, I guess.
I wouldn't start out with the idea that you're going to contend with the big two. Don't even have them in your mind. Just tell a good story. Just, try to write something that people will find compelling and interesting and want to get on board with. And then, you'll build your audience, and then that being a threat will come if you nail it and if people support it. But don't go in with that chip on your shoulder, because spite is a terrible business plan. Just go in with with an optimistic view that you've got a story to tell. It's an important story. You want people to read it. You want people to enjoy it, and start from there, and you'll be off to a good start.
And if you set your goal as competing with the big two, you might be setting an unsustainable goal. The only comic book publisher that's competed with the big two in the last 50 years was Image, and that was only for 18 months. And they had literally brought all the major artists off of Spider-Man and X-Men, the two biggest comic book franchises at the time, and put them into one company. And they were able to compete. That even then it was only fleeting. You're talking about companies with 80, 60 years of history and characters. That would be very, very difficult. So that might be your highest level goal, but you might want to take some baby steps to getting there, because it'll be very difficult to do that unless you were bringing out all the major. Well, even if you had the major DC and Marvel talent right now, it would be difficult because they don't have a lot of superstars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For example, the best people in the industry right now are at Ghost Machine. They're putting out the best line of books, and nobody's paying attention because retailers aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
You can walk into multiple comic shops and ask them about Ghost Machine. And I've had guys that own shops that don't even. They're like, "What is that?
Huh?
What is that again?"
My LCA was talking about that very thing, Aaron. Because you've got all these group chats with comic shop owners, and he was talking about how there's a number of people on there that aren't even aware. And I'm like, what do you do as a comic shop owner? What are you doing? These are big name people. You should try to, despite what we might think about, publishers like Distillery and whatnot.
Yeah,
you should try pushing this stuff. At least try, because anyone for me that's picked up Ghost Machine, they've been fans. So
between Ghost Machine, Energon Universe, and Middle World, and they all have prominent creators, not only writers but artists as well, and they're all doing far better than what Marvel or DC are putting out as far as quality. But the awareness just isn't out there. Peter knows better than I do. You got Vatican City coming out. It's a cool title. You got Mark Miller, who did Civil War. He did the Ultimates. He's got Red Sun, Kick-Ass, and all that stuff. It's still a new title. And it's still a new kind of brand to get out there. And so it's going to be hard to get to that X-Men level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're just shooting just 50,000 would be the greatest thing ever. The other thing I'm worried about is my bubble. Because in my bubble, people are talking about it, but that's me and whatever my followers on Twitter. And I'm I wish I could know what's outside the bubble and how you reach that even, but I don't even know.
We've got a couple things in the chat I want to address. King KDI mentioned Udon Street Fighter. Those books are great. The high production value, they're absolutely fantastic. But again, it's not enough to compete with Marvel. Somebody mentioned the Rippaverse. That's a very successful indie company. They're doing well. They're selling a lot of books. They're building a cohesive universe. Still not competition for Marvel and DC. Not yet. It's they have a space that they occupy, and it's a good space, but it's not Marvel and DC level. Those characters don't have the recognition. They don't have the long-term fan base. They don't have people that are just we were talking about with Amazing Spider-Man. There's not as many people that just buy it and put it in bags and boards because I've collected this and I've always collected this. That's the strength that Marvel and DC have, is just that longevity. So, companies like Ghost Machine Ghost Machine should be at the top, but their marketing is trash and their outreach doesn't seem to be very good. And they seem to really need, I saw a video from Perch recently where he was please just talk to me. Let me give you some ideas on how to get the word out, because your publicity is non-existent. And he's absolutely right. So, these companies, there are a lot of people that are, doing great books, but it's a slow build. So, don't, maybe as an ultimate goal, that's fine, or to have that in the back of your head, but definitely go in with realistic expectations.
Mr. DC Comics wants to know the thoughts on the second Superman trailer. We got into that a little bit. So I'll give a little bit extra on here.
Yeah.
I like Crypto. We got an expanded scene where obviously Superman's hurt and he does the whistle. Crypto obviously is a very bad dog. He's not a high functioning dog. But the problem with him is you can see he's a little too CGI. And hopefully they clear that up. But that's visually speaking, that's the only real issue I had.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
I thought that too.
Really good.
With the Fortress of Solitude rising from with the ground. It was really cool, but it's so obvious that it's so cartoony because it's all CGI. But also, I'm a huge fan of Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman. So I see a lot of that potentially in this, especially with the big bad being the tyrant's son. And who could F up Clark that badly? Well, it could be the tyrant's son. But know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this is good because I think there's actually a reveal because one of Superman's robots has been reprogrammed by Lex Luthor in order to get in as a traitor. And so is that robot 12? So I'm like, my mind's already engaged. I'm looking forward to this officially.
Yeah, me too. I with the movie, I hope that there's the Clark Kent dramatic irony with the secret identity kind of stuff. A lot of that's really fun in the original movie, and it's so simple. And I hope they bring some of that back.
Absolutely. So, it looks cool. We'll see what happens. I expect it to do very, very well. I expect it to do, just as well as probably the Wonder Woman movie, and probably even better than Aquaman, which I think would be great news for DC Studios and would probably ensure that it certainly do better than Aquaman 2. I'm talking about the first one that did $1.1 billion, Sully. I think it's going to do well.
Dude, it's gonna clean
up. $2
up.
billion is a big number. Nobody's doing $2 billion right
Superman's
now.
Superman's the biggest hero we got. I mean, I'm charged up for this. I have the feeling normies are gonna feel this too, man. I can feel it. It's got power.
I'm curious about Superman because I'm kind of a convert. I remember when I was a kid, I think I'm a little slightly different generation than you guys, but because I know some people just love Superman so much, and I've learned to love him. I started loving him because of Star Trek, and Star Trek was so awesome. And I was kind of like, oh, Superman and Kirk are kind of similar. And then I started really liking Superman. But when I was a kid, I didn't like him. I was like, his costume's stupid. He's too powerful, so it's boring. Like, what even is there? And then you
sound like a Batman nut hugger. What are you doing to me?
Yeah. So, but I'm like, could he make $2 billion? Because if people get what he's all about, he can make $2 billion. But do normies even like Superman?
They know who he is, though. Everyone knows who Superman is. He's still like the biggest. He's the first. I mean, I got a feeling. I got a good feeling about this.
I think there's been one movie that's gone over that number since Endgame, and that was Avatar 2.
Yeah.
$2 billion is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But
that would be like
you could do it if it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that movie made $2 billion. No one talks about it. It has zero cultural footprint. Like there's no pop culture footprint for it whatsoever. It was like just disposable popcorn. Like you ate the popcorn and then you went home and you didn't think about that bucket of popcorn ever again.
Until tomorrow when you pooped it.
I've watched it twice. It's perfectly fine. There's just like a 45-minute swimming scene that's just too much in the middle when they're learning about the reef people. But we'll see what happens. Callum wants us to get on topic. That will happen very shortly, sir. But first, we do have to hear from Sleeve. I don't want to make you feel old, Aaron, but I remember reading your Darkwing book when I was 12. It was a godsend to me as Darkwing fan who needed more.
I appreciate that so much. No, there is nothing cooler.
Sleeve McNagle is a grandpa now, Aaron.
Yeah. I'm at the age of 53. I wanted to ask you,
old?
This is going to surprise you, but working for Disney ages you. I am 30 years old. This is what it did to me. No, I appreciate that so much. There's nothing better than finding out that some stuff that you did was important to people. Or like sometimes you get people who come up and you don't even think about this, but they're like, I was going through a really rough time in my life and this book helped, kind of like soothe the pain of what I was going through. This is something that I was able to latch onto and look forward to. So I absolutely love that. Let me know, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. Let me know what books you read, and if you don't have a copy of the Definitively Dangerous edition, I will send you that. I'll send you some PDFs of some stuff so that you can have it digitally and read it whenever you want.
Well, very nice. Yeah, hit him up on Twitter or the Instagram. That's where you can find the Aaron Sparrow. I do appreciate that. We do have a topic. We're definitely only getting in one this week, and it is the big Marvel reveal. MJ is the all-new Venom. We were told it could be Rick Jones. We were told it could be Madam Mask. We were told it could be Robbie Robertson. That would make a whole lot of sense.
Luke Cage.
It was Luke Cage. That was the fourth candidate. Yeah. It turns out it was none of them.
None
It's
of
going to
them.
be MJ. They revealed it in all new Venom number 5 this week. The only person I know that liked this comic book was you, Sully. How could you say it was amazing?
I think that's hyperbole, Wes. Thank you very much. I mean, as
After
a
you guys
floppy,
destroyed my reputation, you deserved it.
I know, but as a floppy, as a single issue and a story, I like the art. I like the fight scenes. There were plenty of fight scenes, plenty of action. And then we have the worst part was it was spoiled. I mean it's got a. I'm one of the only people probably in Spider-Man fandom that I can't manage to give a crap about this. I just don't care. I mean, oh boy, Venom's MJ. And I'm like, well, here you go, huh? Right. Cool. Have fun.
Sure, that might as well happen.
Is this
exactly.
Is this the MJ that she also has the powers where she's like a
Jackpot
casino and you pull
Yeah. Same thing. So we're trying to
You put some coins in her and see what happens.
Yeah, but it's like I think there's like some interest. Okay, and back to all new Venom number 5, and it just works as an individual floppy, as a story. It's got pretty good art. It's got pretty good fight scenes, and Al Ewing, he's really hit or miss. I don't have the mat on for Ewing's badness. I'm liking his Immortal Thor. And this, I'd give this a book a 5.5 for this week. You know what I mean? And that's an F still. But I mean, it's completely mid. But I mean, the Mary Jane revelation at the end, I mean, okay. But there's a thing to that too. I mean, because did you read Venom War? Did you read Venom War Spider-Man by Lansky and Kelly? There was, because Peter had to put on the Venom suit.
Why would I?
Solely.
Yes, Derek.
I know you did not just ask that.
I read them. Why didn't you?
Because it's Lansing and Kelly, and all they've ever done is piss on whatever product they've taken over.
Yeah, I've got a very curated, I've got a very solid opinion of their writing now because I've been forced to read all of these books of theirs recently. Jim makes me do homework for the show. So
I had that unfortunate experience in like 2015, 2016 when they were wrapping up New 52 and like ruined books that were mid at best. And it's like, what? It can't get worse, right? And then they step on, and you're like, fuck.
That's why I realized that I hated Tom Taylor, because he came on right at the end of the Wildstorm universe and fucked everything up even worse than it was already fucked up because of Grant Morrison quitting because he's a fucking bitch. He came on right at the end, and I'm like, oh, so this guy is fucking terrible, and I will never willingly buy anything he writes again. And guess what? I have been proven true over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, if Mary Jane, if she dumps Paul now because the symbiote boosts her id, it's right. You know how women, if they take birth control, they like date the wrong kind of guy. Have you guys heard that? It's like it's gonna be like that for her. She's gonna realize her life's a lie.
Well, here's the deal, though. I mean, because Peter just had the Venom suit on, and the Venom suit had this conversation with Peter, like, "Wow, there's MJ fighting as Jackpot. You still have feelings for her." And so, but everything that Venom knows about Peter, MJ knows about Peter right now because she is Venom. So, it's going to lead, maybe it's going to lead somewhere where she reconciles better feelings for Peter. Maybe this is the end on how we get Peter and MJ back, because she might even think at this point, wow, Peter still feels this strongly about me. And all I have are these fights with Paul and we're in therapy.
But here's the thing. Venom hasn't been bonded to Peter in so long. He's not going to he doesn't know anything that Peter's gone through recently.
He just put the suit on in Venom War. That's why I brought up the Lansing and Kelly. Like, and the homework I get from Jim. Thank you. You have to force me to read these. Yes, force me to read these. I read them all. And
look, the Venom symbiote is the Kim Kardashian of the Marvel universe. Like, it's been run through by everybody at this.
Everybody gets a turn.
He's the village boy. Everybody gets a ride. But I mean, as an individual floppy, it didn't, it's all right. I mean, the spoiler system that's out there, That's what sucked the most. I mean, that just took anything away. It took all the fun out of it. If it had any fun out there, I get it. People don't like Paul. People don't like MJ. People don't want to like all new Venom or where this is going. But I mean, I take these things literally on an issue by issue basis.
I want to like everything that I read. Like I wouldn't waste my time if I didn't want to like it. The problem is that they don't hire anybody who has the talent to make me like it anymore. And it's not me. Like, even I understand that from a certain point of view or from a certain standpoint, I have an editor's brain. So it's harder for me to enjoy things that people just consume. And, because I'm picking it apart, I'm looking for certain things that make a compelling story. And I know not everybody does that. So like when somebody tells me like, well, I enjoyed it, it's like, cool. I'm glad you did. Cause I understand I used to be able to enjoy things on that level, but I'm looking for something more now because of, the experience that I've had and because of what I know about storytelling. And it's another reason that like we can see things coming from a mile away, unless they pull a really stupid swerve, like this MJ being Venom. It's like when you have to lean into the stupid because your readers are too smart. And that's what comic book readers are. They've been reading these books so long, they know how the sausage is made. So the reason that so many people get dissatisfied is because they see what's coming. And if it is satisfying, they get excited for it. Like, it's much better. You said it earlier, Narwhal. It's much better to have a story turn out predictably, but be awesome. And you feel rewarded because you figured it out, which a lot of readers, even if it's obvious, they feel a certain sense of reward when that happens. Then have the writer realize, oh my God, they figured it out. Well, let's just throw this quick swerve in, and then, haha, we got him. But then that's not satisfying because you go, this came out of left field and it's stupid. It's not earned. You have to earn everything that you get from your readers. That's, everything that you do has to be building up to earn their trust and to pay off their expectations. You can do it in a way that they don't expect. But that's how I approach Darkwing. That's how I approach everything that I do. Is I want to give you what you want as a fan, but I want to give it to you in a way that you didn't see coming. So ultimately you're satisfied, but we also took you on a ride, and maybe we surprised you along the way.
Yeah, we need more of that. We're this is like slightly separate, but I just want to have a little moment of like not appreciation, but acknowledgement of how crazy it is of how much people hate Paul. Like, that's a little bit of a accomplishment. It's a little bit historic. Like, I feel like, because that is something, there's like meta lore to Spider-Man now with like, like One More Day, and now like how much people hate Paul. And it's maybe that's part of why the Marvel sales are probably staying high, is because people actually on some level like the hate reading kind of thing. But
you got to let that go, though. You got to let it go if you want anything better.
I can't wait for people to hate that fucking Spider-Boy, because that's a character that shouldn't exist.
That book has got a little bit of charm sometimes.
Don't care. It shouldn't exist.
But everyone forgot who he was, including his mom, Doc. How could you not have,
Good. Yeah. We should forget who he is.
Oh,
yeah, Mrs. Bird's got it going on.
His existence should be forgotten permanently.
I'm not saying Spider-Boy is a good comic book, but I'm telling you, it's better. It's been better than ASM for 2 years.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, that's not hard. That's what a low bar to clear. Are you excited for Danny Slott to jump over onto Superman and make the creeper Joe Rogan and make what was the other dumb shit he was saying he's gonna do?
Well, there's gonna be a kryptonite like meteor that lands on Earth, so there's gonna be like 100 billion times more kryptonite. So things are going to get more dangerous for Superman.
Again, a fine, much like Creeper being like a podcaster like Joe Rogan, a fine idea in the hands of somebody who is talented and isn't deranged.
Honestly, it's really not even that fine of an idea. Like it's gonna age like milk, and it is so obviously. See, we used to get the writer's barely disguised fetish. Now we get their barely disguised political.
Not even disguised.
What does the kryptonite represent, Doc? Is the kryptonite representing fake news?
I mean, it's probably representing the fucking red hat.
Yeah, red kryptonite's going to have an all new meaning.
That's right. Because it's so much more dangerous out there now with all this MAGA kryptonite.
I just wish that they would let kryptonite be like adamantium is supposed to be in Marvel, where it's very limited supply. So when it's there, it's very impactful. When you have so much of it, it kind of waters it down. He probably should have just made a really big ass alien that can fight Superman. Maybe beat him up a couple times.
At this point, there's enough Krypton on Earth or kryptonite on Earth to rebuild fucking Krypton as our moon.
Can we just take some of this kryptonite and kill all these, secondary super characters that just keep popping up? Like it's like fucking rabbits.
Can we introduce kryptonite that makes John young again and makes him straight again?
No, we just need to walk the kryptonite out of what's his name's hair.
Hey,
what color would the conversion kryptonite be, Josh?
That was what?
That's pink kryptonite, and that's real. That's canonical.
Yeah. That's like what in the Silver Age I think it was red kryptonite or whatever. It can change things to be like a Twilight Zone or whatever. So.
Yeah, pink kryptonite made Superman gay, so baby blue kryptonite makes him.
I don't know.
Straight again.
Right now, Superman is infected with red kryptonite, and that's why he's having his rage issues. And when he loses control of his emotions, he turns into like an atom bomb or something.
Is he going to be a Red Lantern for a little while with all of his rage?
I don't believe so.
Ah, see, that doesn't make any sense.
What's actually going to happen.
Why wouldn't one of the rings be drawn? Why wouldn't one of the rings be drawn to an enraged Superman? One of the most powerful beings in the universe. Like that, the ring should want to get on that guy.
Yeah, the Red Lantern ring. Yeah.
But I will say, you're right, Doc. It's not that interesting a concept, but as a writer, I can see how you could get a couple of good stories out of it. If it's an idea that, like, if it was pitched, and I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, you can do a couple of things like that, but you have to have an out. It can't become the status quo because
I was thinking status quo. You have to have a way to kind of undo it because it's so apocalyptic. It's like going to ruin the rest of the stories.
Well, plus Josh knows this. When you read, what was that, Gotham War, and that I think it was a Lazarus meteorite or something. The next thing, everyone had new powers.
Yeah,
and Black Cat had 9 lives or something.
Catwoman.
Yeah, Catwoman. My bad.
Yeah. I try to forget Gotham War. What a steaming pile of poop.
Exactly a milestone moment for DC Comics.
Dude, that was what got me to stop buying Batman. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I'm done.
Are you coming back for Mac Fraction? That's a big question.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Look, I'm always going to give someone a chance. So that's the thing. Like,
I kind of like the new, more retro kind of color scheme on the suit. I think it looks kind of dope.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of what they've been selling Batman on is like, look at this cool thing we did to change you got the oval, and then we got shit stories, So like, all right, we'll see. I'm hoping for something fun.
You're not expecting anything fun out of all new Venom, though, even despite Sully's praising of the comic.
Yeah, my raving 5.5 of a floppy.
Yeah, no, negative. I'll pass on all new Venom. Hey, you know what I did read?
Credits too.
You know what I did read that surprised me was Eddie Brock Carnage. I read that first issue.
Yes.
I was expecting crap, and it wasn't crap.
So that's the Charles Soule, Jesus Saya's book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't read the second issue yet, but
it's
just as a concept. Just as a concept, I don't want the symbiote switching around to all these people. Oh no, he was anti-Venom, now he's Carnage. So just as a concept, I'm kind of out. Carnage should be Cletus Cassidy, and that's it.
Right.
Like I was fine when they put it on Carl Malice for a couple of issues, just to tell a story. But like you just do that constantly. Marvel is just repetition. There's no new ideas. It's like, oh no, let's put
Black Widow had a symbiote for 2 years. I don't think anybody even noticed.
I don't think anybody cared. It's like that's the thing. You can't. None of these ideas get people to care.
Why would the world's greatest assassin need a symbiote to be badass? She's already badass.
I got Jim reading Eddie Brock Carnage 1 and 2, and we're talking about it when it comes out too. It's really decent, and it's like Eddie Brock as Dexter. He's got to deal with Carnage. Sure, you can eat the serial killers, but let me find them first. And that's like this deal he's got, and they have to. It's kind of like that Sidney Poitier movie with Tony Curtis, where they escape from prison and they're handcuffed together, and it's like. It's like that. So give it a chance.
Wasn't there a movie where Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans were handcuffed together?
Was it called?
I know the one you're talking about. I can see the video cover
Mm.
in my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think it's two
every
different
video's-
actors. It's like Adam Baldwin and the guy from The Matrix.
From Pulp Fiction.
No. It's who's the guy from Lawrence Fishburne, I think.
Yeah.
It's funny, like that's so like, and that's like universe changing. You know, like when Harambe got shot, the cast of that movie changed. You know what I mean?
Bulletproof was the Adam Sandler, Damon Wayans movie. Secretary.
Bulletproof.
Sanctuary.
Great movie. Is that what it is?
Oh, okay, okay, you're right. Sorry, there's Fled. I'm talking about Fled. Is the movie I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Yes,
And
I remember that one too.
It's not Baldwin. It's that Tim Roth guy that's from Pulp Fiction, right?
In Fled, I don't think so. I think it's a Baldwin. I'm not.
Maybe
sure.
there's
I've
just
been doing a
multiple movies where
deep dive
people
on the
are-
Baldwins.
Maybe there's multiple movies where people get handcuffed together. It's Sully. Just
Yeah, it's like
ruined
a
the
trope
stream.
for sure. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sully.
Oh, I couldn't help it, man.
How's the art on Carnage? Because I don't particularly like Jesus Saez's style. It's too close to being realistic, but it's not nearly close enough to be realistic.
There's a splash page in issue 2 that you can smoke a joint and get lost in for 15 minutes. It is so graphic and it's so good. And it's Carnage's face and tendrils, and within the tendrils, you see gruesome Carnage killings, beheadings, eviscerations, impalings, and it's just like, whoa, this is a hellscape. And it's really gruesome, and literally it blows any of that red band stuff away too. I mean, those red band stuff were supposed to have
Sounds like you're
interiors.
describing absolute Batman. He's just destroying and murdering everybody. There you go. Sully
dumb-
with an
big
off
dumb
the
Eddie
beaten path
brother.
recommend. Yes. It'd be good stuff.
Do
We'll
I
see
have
what
to smoke
happens
a
there.
joint, or can I just enjoy it?
You
on-
can eat
on
some
its own
gummies.
merit?
I can
Oh,
suggest
that's
them.
true.
I don't
could,
smoke drugs.
No, I
And if I had pot gummies here, my kids would
Hey,
eat.
man.
They love gummies, man.
I like.
Take one of these and you look at the album cover for like a half an hour. and
I
then
was
you
I was
put-
waiting for Wes to follow that up with like, I don't smoke drugs.
And
I
then you
inject
put
them like a
on-
man.
No, this is a main line and
Dark
shit.
Side the Moon after the lion's third roar.
You must have really
Wizard of
loved
Oz.
Absolute Martian Manhunter, huh?
Yeah.
Sully, you loved it, didn't you?
What Absolute Martian Manhunter number 1?
yeah.
The Martian Mind effort. You know what? It was just the only thing. The colors were nice. I mean, but it's like
the art absolutely was fantastic. loved it.
Yeah,
The way-
you like the art
looking
more
at
than
it.
I did. I didn't, and the story. It's just gonna, you know what I mean. It's Dennis Camp's probably strongest single issue. I'll give him that much. But it's going to turn
It's-
into an activist nightmare because it's Dennis Camp.
It's that or Ultimate Universe 1 year in is the best thing I've read from him, which I thought was effective.
Yeah, the Nick
good,
Fury,
like,
Nick Fury thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Anything to not talk about this all new Venom. MJ's Venom. What a stupid
Wait, who
idea.
else read it? Who read it? Anyone out there? Let me know in the chat. You know,
Jim
Yeah,
said he
well-
read
if
it.
you actually read this book.
Wes,
no.
you were gone, Wes, but we were talking. It's a possible path for MJ and Peter to maybe sort of get back together. So that's just
There-
something. That's like,
They already told you they'll never give you that, so it's
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they did
By
it
the
that
way,
way,
Wes-
you would be like MJ pegging him as the Venom. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Wes,
Yeah.
it's
Make
good
it
that
worse.
it's good that you don't smoke drugs, Wes, because I understand that's how you crash a boat.
I
That was just for Josh. I put it in the chat, but I didn't. Josh hadn't laughed, so I was like, I gotta say
missed
so
it
that
in the
Josh
chat,
laughs.
but I think it's fantastic.
That was just
Oh,
for you,
God.
Josh.
I'm sure it got a sales bump once they announced it ahead of time. It probably sold out, and it's a speculative value book, at least for the next 6 months or something like that. But I just don't think it really does anything for Spider-Man or Mary Jane or Venom, like any of those entities singularly. In the long run, this doesn't help anything. It just makes it worse, which I guess is
Right.
the big problem with
Like,
Marvel these days.
Eventually, they're going to have to return the action figures back to the toy box. Cletus will be Carnage. Just wait. Eddie will be Venom once again. Just wait. You know,
And then Peter and
Mary
MJ won't
Jane
be
will
back
be
together,
Carnage.
and she'll be with Paul, who was the worst
Mary Jane
character.
will Mary Jane will be anti-Venom, and then Paul will be Carnage, and then,
Auntie Venom.
yeah, and then Aunt May will be
Aunt-
Carnage.
I think
Oh, God.
Flash is anti-Venom right now, isn't he?
Well, maybe May needs her own symbiote, and we can call her
Aunt
Auntie.
May being Venom is hilarious. That's like so
great.
bad it's good.
That would be
Like, see,
actually
they're just
cool.
torching it.
And
Why
then
not?
Toxin will be the Toxin symbiote will be on somebody else that you don't care about. It's just
but
what a mess.
I would love a splash page of Venom going around handing out like butterscotch candies to kids. Be like, what the fuck happened to Venom? He's like, why does it want to give me a candy?
Why are there no symbiotes? Why are there no
Can I knit
symbiotes
you
on the
some
Pride
socks?
cover, guys? when that's a sales bonanza waiting to happen. Revealing one of the symbiotes is going to be part of the Pride anthology.
That Venom can go and beat the snot out of Octavius for leaving Aunt May and not doing her right. You know what I mean?
Putting the fluid
There
in
you
a
go.
gender fluid. It's Venom.
They just
Everyone
keep
thinks-
rehashing all this. It's just sick. They don't have anything anymore. They don't have anything because they can't afford any writers that want to contribute to the Marvel universe because it doesn't get you anything except a very shitty paycheck, and then maybe you get snubbed by Kevin Feige on the red carpet.
Remember back in the day when they had their what if titles, and this was kind of like the test as a writer? Can you take like a wild or bad concept and actually make it halfway palatable? And then like, okay, we might give you some more work. And now instead they're like, retards to the front of the line, take over our comics publishing.
Our dumb assistant editors came up with the worst idea ever, and you're just the writer terrible enough to make it even worse.
Absolutely.
I see you wrote your resume in crayon. You're hired.
Oh, and you still have the crayon jammed up your nose. You're definitely who we're looking for here at Marvel.
The Venom is Aunt May fanfic. It'd be funny if everyone thinks that Venom's a pedo and they find out it's just Aunt May.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why she likes kids, because she's a grandma.
Oh, we thought that. Well, that's what you get for assuming, and now you get webbed up.
No,
Yeah.
what happened was Venom would be handing out ribbon candy and penny whistles to all the kids, and we'd be like, "Oh, it's Aunt May." And they'd be like, "Oh my God, they figured it out. We'd better swerve them." No, it's J. Jonah Jameson.
Why is Venom so invested in Feast? It's kind of weird. He's supposed to be doing other stuff. Feed the homeless. Let's hear for the people's. Kilichi Oki says Carlos Gomez being wasted over there at Marvel. And I agree with that. Carlos Gomez, fantastic artist, been doing all these all-new Venom books. And not even he could make the big MJ as Venom reveal with Venom on the phone and everything look cool. It's impossible. But he's a really good artist. HH over at Sigma Comics. Ghost Machine should be selling millions. Shops don't do enough for indies. How can we sell hundreds of pounds of calico at conventions and be as unknown? Most shops won't lift a finger if it isn't the big three.
It's true. It's because, you know why? I hate to say it because, we want to support the retailers, but too many retailers are guys that got into it because they just loved Marvel and DC and they don't want to hear anything else. And they don't want to invest in anything else because their shop is not an actual business. It's a hobby vanity project that they live off of. And so they only want to do the stuff that they remember. They only want to do the stuff that they like. They can't afford to take chances. And so they just stick with the stuff that they know, even though the stuff that they know is the drizzling shits.
Well, the thing is, Ghost Machine is part of the big three. Ghost Machine is an imprint at Image Comics. Unfortunately, the other imprints at Image Comics are both basically run by the founders and executives of the company. Maybe I don't want to put a bunch of marketing effort into Ghost Machine when I could put it into Skybound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It could be a conflict of interest.
There's no vested interest in promoting those books from Image. So that's why Ghost Machine has to do more themselves.
But it's hard to get noticed. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed, Perry. I mean, Vatican City's going to be big. You got Mark Miller on it. It's Miller World. It's original concept. But it's hard to get people to even realize it's coming out because none of this stuff is really marketed outside of people like us. And of course, I'm fully aware of it because I cover it every day. But it's hard to really get that awareness.
I heard too, with Diamond went out of business, and that is throwing a wrench in things a little. It's like almost more word of mouth now of what to order. And
because
I did get
magazine consolidated everything.
Yeah, and I got a hard copy of the last Previews magazine, which has Vatican City in it. So that's like a fun thing for me to have on my shelf or whatever. But it's funny, it's a huge thick magazine, and it's one little page, one little ad. And so, you're still kind of relying on people just have to know it exists.
Yeah, and there's obviously there's so much signal to noise. It's hard to be able to even be noticed out there, even when you have somebody as big as Mark. So you can imagine trying to get a book without like a really big name creator on there off the ground and really get noticed. It's a lot of work. And obviously, you know, it's not like Ghost Machine doesn't have a lister. They got Jeff Johns, they got Jason Baybach, they got Brian Hitch,
Peter
they got
Tomasi, and
yeah, they got a murderer's row of comic artists on that stuff as well.
There.
Ivan Reese,
Jason
Really
Fabok.
fantastic.
God bless you. Rook is
Yep.
coming back any week now.
I don't think it's been solicited yet, so it's probably going to be more towards the middle of the year, maybe into the second half. And then he says, we've learned, keep your head down, focus on quality, be humble, work hard, listen to your customers. Your time will come. Be ready when it does.
Awesome. HH. Way to go. Nice
Absolutely.
guy.
Is that what you've learned, Per? You know, yes, it's good to get your name out there. You work hard, be seen out there, and eventually you will get your chance. Is that how it worked out for you?
Yeah, I was thinking there's like mindset stuff like abundance versus scarcity and Sully knows, but you do the gratefulness things, Sully, you know. So
Oh, thanks, man.
some of it is
Dude.
yeah. It's like that is what you got to do. I don't know. And then you just kind of hope or whatever.
Absolutely. And it all works out, hopefully, in the end. Not everybody gets their chance, but hopefully
Be ready
everybody
when you
gets
do.
an
You have
opportunity.
to enjoy the journey. So even if it doesn't work out, you still
Mhm.
Sleeve says there's a Superman Batman comic where they literally hunt down all 3 kryptonites and throw it into the sun. Batman secretly kept some, though. Batman. He's
Sounds
such a
like Batman.
scumbag, Josh. How can you like him over Superman?
Hey, always be prepared. I mean, look, Superman's the
Always
guy
be
to live up
prepared to
to.
kill your best friend? What are you doing,
I mean,
Batman?
Superman's kind of lost it a few times, so you know.
I've got contingency. Look, I love all of you guys, but I've got contingency plans for each and every one of you if you go rogue.
Yeah, he's got hookers and beer waiting for me.
Who doesn't have a plan to kill their best friend? I'm sorry. I thought
and
this was
body
normal.
disposal. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm
I
a
told
chef.
Doc if I
You're
get
in
out
this
if I get out of line, it's up to you, man. You got to take me out.
Yeah.
Like I'm a professional chef. Like, you know, I can put you in the soup and no one's gonna know.
I thought that taking me down if I get out of line was like a zombie thing. If I turn into a zombie, don't let me turn. I thought that was the agreement.
Well, no, I mean that's obviously the agreement.
Yeah.
Or if you get pulled into a pit and you know your legs get ripped off by some bugs underground, we know what to do.
You know what to do, Rico.
That's right.
I just watched that. Everyone was talking about Starship Troopers, so I watched it. This is a
I
great
think it's
movie.
funny. I think it's funny
You
that
know what
I
to do.
you know, in an attempt to do the thing that I do, where I say like things like "we've never been to the moon" and "dinosaurs never existed," just to rile people up. I was like, "Yeah, no, the bugs are the good guys," and now there's a whole discourse on the internet of idiots saying that. And I'm like, yeah, and it's like, oh man.
I remember the
These
first time
people
you
are
said
so
that to me on a podcast, Aaron. I was like, "This guy's an idiot."
I was-
For the bugs.
I'm gonna get you sometimes. I'm gonna jab at you.
My goodness. Nerd
You know-
says my. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, just real quick. Starship Troopers, shout out to having someone cut in half by an electric door closing. That has never been happened except in that movie, and I love it.
Yeah, it just shows you the
Absolutely.
danger of electric power. That
Yeah,
those
it's
ships-
also
those
the
only
ship-
movie-
those ships should have gone cold. Damn it!
Where I saw a bug eat out a dude's brains, like with an enormous
Yeah.
needle thing. That was a great moment when he sucked his face down.
Yeah.
That guy was a douchebag anyway. The nerd says, my primary reason is not spite, but to bring a solution to the comic industry. I don't think my goal is too lofty, just difficult.
No, I mean that's absolutely fair, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
it's bringing a solution. I think that's what we're all trying to do in the independent space. Is we just want to create things that interest us, that interest other people. We want to serve our audience, and that's what Marvel and DC have forgotten. They've forgotten to serve their audience. Tom Brevoort, when he goes in, he's not thinking about you because he has contempt for you. He's thinking about how he gets through the day without putting a gun in his mouth. So,
Oh my goodness.
the way that look, I've read his Twitter. That I don't think that's out of line to say, because that's literally, I just don't know how I get out of bed. So
Brevoort went full Kelly Sue this week, and you never go full Kelly Sue.
Oh man,
Dude,
that
that
is
was
that is
embarrassing.
so true. So because he's unhappy, you're not allowed to have anything that makes you happy, and that's the wrong way to approach this. You need to be doing things that please your audience if you are in a customer service business, which comics is. And the problem is none of these people have been forced to face that, because he's just going to work there until Dan Buckley either quits or is fired and can no longer protect him, and then Tom Brevoort will go. But until that day, there's always going to be something that they find for him to do. And no matter how much he tells you, the paying customer, to go F yourself and that your opinion doesn't matter and that you're a cretin for wanting something different than what they're giving you, nothing's ever going to change. So, you're going into it with the right attitude, nerd. Fix the industry, and part of fixing the industry is satisfying the customer.
He says Apothecary is one event, many perspectives to tell it. Absolutely. There's always more than one way to skin a cat. Lots of fun ways to tell stories. You can use different perspectives. You could do time jumps. You could do all kinds of stuff. So if you have
I find a potato peeler is the most efficient way, but you may have a different way, Wes.
I would never skin a cat with a potato peeler. That sounds awful.
Cheese grater.
I've never been able to use that potato peeler again.
Oh my god! Speaking of cheese graters,
Narwhal.
Narwhal. Let me just take us off course. I got Docbuster Video to work, and based on the recommendation, I watched Boy Kills World. There's a
cheese grater scene.
There's a cheese grater scene that is just like, and it's not even the craziest scene. Like that movie just builds and builds and builds, and
nice.
It showed me a lot of shit I've never seen before in a martial arts.
That definitely taps into something. I heard there's a word for it in one of the phobias, but I forget what it's called. But it's about like many little holes. We are disgusted by that, like genetically.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
it's there's a phobia for that.
Yeah. Like even like honeycomb and
and
stuff like that.
Yeah, that whole movie is a phobia, man. There's so many things that happen that I'm like, oh, I wouldn't like that. Oh, I wouldn't want that to happen. It's.
I'm glad that's not me.
It's come a point in that Boy Kills World where you get like this face like that, and it's just kind of permanent because it just keeps going. You're like,
I think it's wincing. Yeah, it's wincing the whole thing. There's good gore points, quality kills, but you will spend a lot of the movie going, oh.
By the way, that is called trypophobia.
Oh, okay.
Doc, did you ever watch that Boy Kills World?
I have not had a chance. I mean, I know it's on my fucking media server.
It is. It's pretty good. Like, it's weird. It's The Purge meets Hunger Games meets The Raid. The guy had it spelled out perfectly. But
it's the Hunger Games, but with actual hunger in it, which the movies didn't have.
Lots of
they
hunger.
all looked very well fed.
This new DC Comics, why can't villains fight different heroes? Ra's al Ghul versus Superman, Magneto versus Hulk, Batman versus Lex Luthor. That would make books more interesting.
You're about
Remember
to
how
get
cool
that.
Acts of Vengeance was because of that very reason.
But we just got a reveal for Ra's al Ghul in the last page of Absolute Superman #6. So
yeah,
they're gonna put.
I think the problem is today, instead of thinking of a valid story reason for them to have to come together, you have these writers going, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if?" And that's all they bank on. So.
Yeah, like the idea is cool. You can start from hey, wouldn't it be cool if Superman had to fight like a Ra's al Ghul plot? But like from that point, you have to go, okay, but what would that entail? How would that come about? What would the end game be? How do we keep, that those are the things that you do when you start brainstorming these things, is you come up with an idea that's like, yeah, that would be cool. That would be interesting. Okay, why would it be interesting? And if you can't answer that question, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, but Ra's versus Superman would be difficult. He would definitely have to get his hands on some kryptonite and stuff like that to bring the power down on him.
Superman fights Lex, and Lex isn't always in power armor. That you have Superman fighting a genius who has put him in an impossible situation. That's how you do it.
But Lex normally does that by manipulating the public and then unleashing some type of threat on him.
Yeah.
He's not really a physical threat. Really, the only time I've seen Superman really punch Lex was when Superman didn't have powers.
I kind of feel like if you keep Ra's traditional to kind of like what he represents, it's almost like he and this version of Superman would be buddies, not enemies. Like, let's be honest. This Superman's like, the world's awful. These people are awful.
You're talking about Absolute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be a mentor.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe Ra's just admires his taste in capes.
Or maybe Batman versus Lex Luthor should be Bruce Wayne versus Lex Luthor, Wayne Tech versus Luthor Corps. Kind of.
I want to
Cool.
see
Oh,
Deathstroke
that's cool.
beat the shit out of Green Lantern. That'd be great. I love Deathstroke. Totally underused, utilized.
Bring
villain.
back real Deathstroke. That would be
remember when
fantastic.
he almost took the ring off of Kyle's hand just by sheer
Yeah.
force of will? Like it was disappearing from Kyle and appearing on Deathstroke because his will is stronger.
That's
Remember
cool.
when he beat the piss out of Batman and literally had him on death's door and said, "Ha, see, I could kill you if I wanted to, but now I'm going to leave with my shit
Yeah.
just to prove a point."
Yep.
That's a good
Identity
version of Deathstroke.
Crisis when he took down the Justice League. Boom, boom, boom. Protecting Dr. Light.
He's
See,
like,
and that's what's beautiful about male villains in your life is that like Louis C.K. says, a man will burn your house down, he'll cut your arm off, and he'll throw it in a river, but he won't mess with who you are as a person.
Yeah.
That's what women do. That's what female villains do.
but yeah, I like good crossovers. Joker finally killing Lois and turning Superman evil. It's interesting. It'd be fun. Carlitos Figueroa, their obsession with separating characters who work better together and their regression isn't effective. ASM needs more to move forward before it becomes irreversible.
Yeah, huh? And Joe Kelly's tailing his new volume. He's going like preschool. Peter Parker,
Not preschool. He's going to middle school.
but still, it's like I want to read Spider-Man stories for
He's going to
Spider-Man,
pre-Spider-Man era Peter
not
Parker.
Hey, that sounds kind of boring.
Hey, you know what? They took a lesson from Daredevil and said, "Hey, we're going to give you an entire series of no Daredevil in your Daredevil show. So we're going to give you a whole series of Amazing Spider-Man with no Amazing Spider-Man."
Well, I don't imagine the entire book is going to be. I think it's going to be flashbacks and
Back in the
showing
day,
how the death of his parents affected him.
I remember an issue of Peter David's Incredible Hulk that actually put right on the cover, warning, there is no Hulk in this issue. And we
Just
were
so
all
you wouldn't
fine.
be upset. Yeah.
Yes, so people weren't fucking pissed when they picked up that issue and was like, where in the hell? It's an entire issue about Doc Samson.
Doc
Giving
Samson's
somebody
pretty good.
But he was just
to
giving
give him-
somebody therapy. It wasn't
that
even
sounds like a
Bruce.
Jed McKay book. Yeah. I don't understand why they are obsessed with keeping Peter Parker and MJ separated. I don't think removing side characters from your flagship book and putting them in other books is a winning formula. But what do I know? I don't know where that obsession comes from. It's kind of weird. But that was a fun show. Let's get back to some comic book recommendations and get ourselves out of here. I do want to say special shout out to Pear for joining us today. That was really awesome. Congratulations, Vatican City #1, Mark Miller, Middle World Under the Dark Horse comic books coming out Wednesday. And people have seen a lot of vampire books, obviously Pear, but they haven't seen a vampire threat quite like this. It's a little unique.
Yeah, there's a couple ways where it's like different than you've seen. And yeah, I guess I won't spoil it, but that's Mark. I'll say one thing too, just reading the script. And then as I was working on it, I kind of started reading every Mark Miller book. I haven't read them all yet, but I've read like a lot of them. And they're all so good, obviously. I'd read a few before, but not that many really. And so now I'm like a Mark Miller expert. And this one fits great in his body of work. And one thing I love about the script, though, is we were talking about a little bit about this, about what's predictable or whatever. This book is very unpredictable for me. I thought like it kept taking twists because it's like you kind of think you know what's going to happen, and then things play out a little bit differently in a really fun way. So.
Yeah, it's must be, this is your big chance, like the first big break that you've gotten, and congratulations on that. Do you have anything going on your YouTube? You said you have a couple of projects that are going to be coming up that are sequels to things that you've done in the past that people need to be aware of?
Yeah, my YouTube is Narwhal Books, and I do one weekly show with some friends. It's called Creative Block, and we talk about like making comics and writing and visual storytelling, and that's fun. We'll usually have like 30 to 50 people watching live, like not a huge audience, but a fun little core discussing that kind of stuff weekly. And then like through that I have a mailing list, but we won't worry about that. But my Twitter, my YouTube, if anyone interested can follow me. And following up Vatican City, which will be the next 3 months. Those 3 issues are going to be coming out, and then Cerberus 2 is the one I'm kind of shouting out to. Is a sequel to a book I did a couple years ago. I'm just the writer on that one. Monica McCagney's the artist, and she did a great job. So I'm really excited for that too. I actually I'll see what I can do, but I might try and like leverage some of the, just see if I can even publish that like through Dark Horse. I haven't talked to anyone yet, but I'll see if anything like that's possible. But
very, very cool. There's a link to his YouTube in the video description. And I am also reading through Middle World comic books beginning to end. We've made it through Starlight. We made it to the Hit Girl series. We're doing the entire Middle World reading order. And it's been a whole lot of fun. And congratulations on being part of the team. Are there any books that you want to recommend that are new this week, or maybe some Middle World stuff that you've read recently that you want to recommend?
Yeah, what is I don't know, the latest Miller World one I read was Nemesis, the reboot. And it's awesome.
Reloaded.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Or
And it's it is like the anti-Batman. And if you read it with that kind of view, it's pretty fun too.
And then if you read Prodigy, it's Batman without a cape and cowl, like out in the open for everyone to see.
Yeah. That one's awesome too.
Yeah, really cool stuff. So definitely check out Nemesis, because we got another Nemesis book coming up in 2025. Nemesis Forever,
Yeah.
I think that he's finally announced.
Yeah,
Very
Matteo Scalera is going to be art on that. That's
Oh.
gonna be killer.
With Nemesis, the one quick thing too is it has a little bit of it maps over Evil Dead just a little bit, because the first Nemesis got rebooted. So there's this original that is kind of like not canon, that is really punk and really fun and kind of like that. I think even in the timeline, that was like a little bit of Mark Miller like reacting like the way Tarantino would or something. It's a little bit of a reaction to the landscape of the industry at the time. And then he kind of goes in canon with the character for the sequel, which is like a soft reboot or whatever. That's kind of what Evil Dead did a little bit. So.
Absolutely. Nerd says, if you were forced to make readers forget about Peter and Mary Jane and still actually read and enjoy Spider-Man, how would you do it? We have a writer, we have an editor in Aaron. How would you do it? What's the sell job? Peter Parker forgets about the relationship with Mary Jane.
So I need to make him forget about Mary Jane? That's the challenge?
If you're forced to make readers forget about Peter and Mary Jane and still enjoy the book, so to get over the Mary Jane and Peter not being together anymore, how would you put it down a path to where people would give up on that argument and make Spider-Man awesome?
That is not an easy question. That's one that I would have to give some thought to, because there's always going to be people that want back what they had, when the comic was good in their mind. And I'm one of those people. Like I spent more time with Peter being married when I first got into comics than I did with him not being married. Even though I went back and I read all that stuff, that was not like the present of where I got into Spider-Man. So that's really tough. I'd have to give that some thought. I'd have to come up. You'd have to come up with a great story that really, and it still wouldn't satisfy probably the majority.
Well, no,
of
they've had almost 20 years to do it, and they still haven't done it.
You'd have to have, because the idea of what the way that they broke up the marriage was very much what you would have to do and successfully land to separate Peter and Mary Jane and have people accept it, which is you would have to have Mary Jane make some sort of sacrifice that elevated her as a character. And they tried that and it didn't work because the idea was dumb. The situation was dumb.
Stacy.
No,
just
I think
kill her?
you kill her, and that's a whole other can of worms.
Venom.
That's too easy a way out. No, because then you got 8 years of Gail Simone writing blogs about how you fridged Mary Jane, and then she just gets a bunch more work, and we have to read a bunch more Gail Simone comics. So no, that's not the way either.
You don't want Gail Simone on Spider-Man?
I don't want Gail Simone on X-Men. I don't really want Gail Simone on much of anything.
Oh,
I mean,
God,
except
there.
go back and do whatever that
Hair.
book was that she was doing with
Moonbeam.
Alfiore, or the old artist. Go do your own original stuff.
make Gale hairdress again.
Okay. It's gonna
Oh,
be difficult, nerd.
that's
You can't
merch.
just
Yeah.
Doc is a
nail
Doc is
that
a
one.
merch machine. Yeah, no, I can't. I honestly don't think that off the top of my head, I don't think there's a way that you could do it. But now that's going to be in the back of my head for a long time. So if I come up with something, I'll let you know.
All right, Josh, are you recommending any comic books this week?
Yeah, I think Daredevil Cold Day in Hell was honestly a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. You have McNiven coming in on art and just great work. I wasn't expecting it to be great. I thought it'd be good, but I really, really enjoyed that book. I also read Absolute Green Lantern, and I do not recommend that book. I thought that was garbage. There's really not a story there. The art's rough, man. And then Max made me read Secret Six as well, which also, made me contemplate. What did we say that Wes don't do? Inhale drugs? Yeah, it made me contemplate.
don't smoke drugs.
Yeah, smoke drugs. Yeah, it made me contemplate potentially doing that. So I wasn't a fan of either of those
In
books.
fairness, I just bought my girlfriend a T-shirt that says "Drugs, not hugs. Don't touch me."
Yeah, no, but I will say in terms of Daredevil Cold Day in Hell, if you want to see how to craft a story and do storytelling, because I think that's part of the problem. We have a lot of writers that don't understand how to structure a story, and then on top of that, they don't understand how normal people speak, so their dialogue is off. And then you get these chintzy cheap artists to come in and just try to draw pretty pictures instead of telling the story. So you're failing at storytelling every step of the way. And Daredevil Cold Day in Hell kind of comes in and is like, hey, remember how to tell stories? Here you go.
Very nice. You got anything going on the channel, Popeye Culture? That people need to know
Yeah,
about?
so Tuesday we're going to have Culture Popped, and we're going to be discussing some of the announcements that came out of CinemaCon. So we're looking forward to that. And I finally got my freaking Marvelous Monday X-Men video cleared from copyright issues. It only took a month and a half, but YouTube's going to YouTube. So
Very
that'll
nice. Congratulations.
land. Yeah, that'll land before too long. And then at the end of the month, we're continuing our book club, and we're doing Swamp Thing book 2. So come hang out with us for that. So
Very, very nice. Sully, do you have any comic books you would like to recommend? I know you got a bag of something.
I got a few. I go to my local comic book shop every week, every Wednesday on New Comic Book Day, and I pick up my pull list. But before I do that, my big suggestion for you all out there, if it's still available and you can afford it, you pick up Perberg's Nosferatu. It's one of his previous works, and it's all digital, right, Per?
Yeah, that one was drawn digitally. Yeah.
And I get sometimes I got a big problem with digital art. I'm a Bronze Age baby. I see a generational difference here, especially with line weight and with light source and stuff. But gosh, you smashed it on Nosferatu. It is it's a visual representation, like a comic book breakdown of F.W. Murnau's 1922 famous silent vampire movie, and it's awesome. So if you can, check out his link. Check out what he's got. He's got an eBay store and Nosferatu. I mean, I was lucky enough to get your combo pack on that. I got 2 hardcovers, and I want that hardcover goes for $85 now. I'm like, holy shit, that's cool. And so thank you, Per, for the great stories, and I hope you onward and upward. But the what did I get this week? I got Absolute Superman #6 by Jason Aaron. He's got a new artist. Do I have to look? Do I have to read this again to find the artist's name on here? It's usually on the last
See,
page.
the problem is you bought a Jason Aaron comic willingly.
Well, it's Carmine D. Giandomenico is the artist, and it's really good. And we got this, like I said, here's your reveal. There's Ra's al Ghul. How do you say it?
How
How do you say it in Boston Irish?
Actually, I'm a chef, so I know that there's an ingredient named Ras al Hanout, which means top of the shelf. It's the best spices in the market. So his name is actually Ras, like ROSS, not Raish, not Raz. It's Ras. But it was decent.
Top of something.
Yes, means like head. It means head of the head of the demons. The demon's head. Well, head of the shelf, top of the shelf. Ras is the same word. But it's a decent story. It's my favorite issue of the series so far. I also picked up by by Phil Hester. This is the G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Silent Missions, Beachhead #1. So it's taking a step from the issue 21, the famous Larry Hama issue, where it's silent interlude. And so it got a really interesting art by Phil Hester. I've been a big fan of his, especially going back to Green Arrow. I love his Green Arrow work. And my pick of the week is from DC Black Label and Ram V. It's Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma #1. This got the goods. It's got really good art. I got the Dan Panosian C cover. Why? Because my local comic book shop, I can get variant covers. It's the same price, $4.99. But what a really good issue. Gets you right into the story. It kind of ties into old DC canon because some of it's set in World War II, and it mentions Hitler there, in the Spear of Destiny, and that's why the Golden Age heroes could not roll into Germany to take out what was going on during World War II, because Hitler had the Spear of Destiny, and that's Bronze Age all-star canon. Yeah. So, but it's really good, and thank you so much. Thank you, Pear, for coming on, and thank you everyone in the chat and on the panel. Blessed and grateful. Thank you.
Very nice. So, Sparrow, I saw you pop up your issue of Beachhead as well. And I thought the art in it was really, really good. My problem with that book is it needed dialogue because clearly people were talking to each other.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. It is a gorgeous book. I recommend picking it up. Phil Hester did a bang-up job on the art. Each panel is really, interesting to look at, and you will find yourself looking at it over and over again because I had no clear idea of what was going on.
Yes.
And the same week that they also re-released the original G.I. Joe Silent Interlude, this is a masterclass in how you do it. And releasing them in the same week was probably not a good idea because this shows you how it's done. You can follow everything that's happening here. Larry Hama's layouts really tell the story. Phil Hester's art, while gorgeous, I don't feel told a compelling story or involved me in the same way. I could not get into it because a lot of the time I didn't know what was going on.
It needed dialogue and sound effects.
It did, whereas the original does not.
Well,
so
Zach,
I think it's an interesting. I'll always say that I like to see experiments in comics. I like to see people try things. Obviously it can be done because Larry Hama did it so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a bit of a miss, but it is worth picking up just because Phil Hester's art is gorgeous in it, and there's some cool action in it. It's nice to look at. But
and we get Alley Vipers too in action.
We get Alley Vipers.
That was really cool.
It's and they're off of the they got the masks that are off of the classified design because of course the Energon universe.
Yeah, they pull up and they look at a Cobra hood. That was so.
Well, they have that on that was part of the original toy. It's part of the original look, but it's just that circle in the middle, like that lens.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's like kind of from the classified line. But I recommend it. Hyde Street #5 is out this week. I recommend that. If you have the original G.I. Joe 21, which I do, I recommend going and picking that the reprint up. And then I just want to say, like last week, this cover, I love this so much. I love everything that's going on in the Energon book right now. It's so damn good, and the Real American Hero is keeping pace with it, in my opinion. I also grabbed the Energon universe. This is so damn good. My only disappointment with this issue is here he is on the cover by Kubert looking great in that outfit that is from the action figure line. And then when you get inside, he's got his stupid glasses and the Tom Taylor hat and the beret, the beret and the Kiki beret and the big dumb fake mustache. And it loses something. It would have been how did they even get him out of that? Because if you've read G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero for as long as I have, you know that those Cobra Commander helmets are armed. Like you can't take those off without blowing up a large section of wherever you're at. So
wouldn't Cobra Commander blow his own head off? That's kind of a stupid design.
He would, but you got to take
and it just explodes.
You've got to take the person taking it off is going to die, and a bunch of people around him, if they're in the vicinity, are going to die because it's apparently pretty powerful. So you have to be willing to make that sacrifice. You'd have to have like a suicide, You have to have somebody suicidal who's ready to do that. Or it may just be a bluff. Who knows? And that's why it's off. But it seems weird that Destro would pull all that stuff off of him. Like, I know it's a bluff, and then take the helmet off and be like, "Here, let me put your little mustache back on you, and here's your glasses.
Here's
and
your glasses.
There's your kicky beret, and all
You
right,
want a glass of Bosco while you're down there?
You're looking good, my friend. Yeah, no, it's
It puts the lotion on its skin. Else it gets the
So,
hose
so
again.
Sparrow, where are you going to make any appearances this week? Maybe on Pop by Culture, maybe over on World Class Bullshitters. You got anything?
I will
lined
be
up?
I will be on Pop by Culture on Tuesday. I will be joining Josh because whenever he does Pop by Culture, I try to be there. Comic book club and stuff like that. Sometimes I miss, just because I don't have time to read the assignment.
You got time.
I will be. I am going out to Vegas to the Nerdrotic Geeks and Gamers meetup. So I'll be out there at least the Wednesday. I don't know if I have a flight back on Thursday morning, but I have to talk to X-Ray Girl because it seems like she's asking if I'm going to stick around longer. And I do want to point out something that was in the chat that we've put out on Twitter, but I don't think we've mentioned here. Just forgot. Decrepit wanted to remind us that Mike W. Barr needs help. The comic legend has a GoFundMe active right now. He is having some medical problems. This is a guy who contributed to Batman. He did one of my favorite books at Comico back in the day called The Maze Agency. He is a brilliant creator. The comic industry left him by, just passed him by. I had opportunity back when I was at Tokyo Pop in like 2005 to have lunch with him and editor Paul Morrissey. And even then he was lamenting that the industry was kind of forgetting him, that editors weren't calling him back and whatnot. So I don't know what happened, but he contributed a lot. And he's like so many of the trailblazers in the comic book industry. He is having health problems and does not have the ability to, pay all the bills. So if you guys get a chance, please go check out the GoFundMe for Mike W. Barr.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Aaron. And finally, Doc, do you have any comic books to recommend this week?
Well, I'm going to recommend folks check out our review of the Concert of Champions. Holy fucking shit.
Okay. Let's see the good stuff, Doc. Daddy's got to eat.
All right. Oh, wait. Wrong button. I muted my mic instead of turning on my camera. So I'm going to go with a Mark Miller comic. And if you guys haven't read this is the storyline from when Mark came on and took over the Authority. This was called Earth Inferno, and it had a rogue doctor in it. This is the most fucked up issue where the doctor literally just goes back in time and, molests the engineer to get her scared of him in the fight that they're currently in. This is disturbing, but it's a really, really good comic. And, Mark and Frank Quitely, this is the last part of the story. This is Authority number 20.
Mark
So then,
Frank Bartley. Very good.
Yep. So then I went Eids, which is kind of a comic mecca. It's one of those places that everybody goes to. If you're ever in Pittsburgh, it is probably the most well-known store here. They're doing a annual sale this year. They're doing 30% off all Marvel back issues, including like wall books and high grade back issues. I, however, needed these because they're both newsstands. For whatever reason, I already have the direct edition. So X-Men 155 and X-Men 138. I think 155 is the first appearance of the Brood. But yeah, so picked up both of these, and they're getting me a little closer. Since I already finished my X-Men complete series, including reprints and almost all variants, I decided, well, I'm going to be a real glutton for punishment and go and differentiate between newsstand and direct editions. I haven't quite decided whether or not I'm going to include Whitman variants. I'm definitely not going the Mark Jewelers route, though. So, but 155 and 138. So those are my comic recommendations.
Very, very nice. I think we had a fun time today. We want to say thank you very much to Per. would love to have you back on the channel at some time in the future. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great hanging out with you guys.
All right, I
Always.
guess that will end it. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. I think the Final Four is probably kicking off today or something like that, and we will see y'all around.
Get out.
Kneel before.